Here in Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, two teams trying to learn how to win meet on a beautiful afternoon for football in Atlanta, Georgia. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Henderson, along with Hank Stram. And Hank, the Phoenix Cardinals coming in here on a modest 2-game winning streak and bolstered by the return to football of Dexter Manley.
I think we were both surprised yesterday to talk to the team and listen to the reaction they had about Dexter Manley coming back with his club. They think he's going to provide a strong lift both emotionally and artistically, and I think he's going to play very well.
As for the Atlanta Falcons, they have lost 5 in a row, but they play much better here than they do on the road. They have a very big change in their lineup. It's at quarterback. Chris Miller injured, out for the season last week, and being replaced by Scott Campbell.
Ordinarily, Jim, that would be a big problem, but really in the last 3 weeks, Scott Campbell has taken most of the snaps. He played extremely well last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so I don't think they have any reservations whatsoever about Scott Campbell. They expect for him to play extremely well here this afternoon.
You see Greg Davis teeing up the ball at the 35-yard line of Atlanta. Phoenix has won the toss of the coin, and they will receive. The Falcons 3-9, the Cardinals 4-8. Back deep, Larry Centers along with Vi Sikahema. A beautiful day. We're glad you're with us. Settle back and relax and enjoy this afternoon's contest. It's a deep kickoff that Centers will not return. It'll come out to the 20 for the Phoenix Cardinals. There are some flags down in the end zone as you look at Tim Rosenbaugh, who's preparing to come on for the Cardinals.
Be first down on the 35-yard line.
A personal foul on the Falcons on the kickoff, so the ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. Here's this Phoenix offensive line, and it's a huge one.
And Louis Sharp is having a great year, and they think he's doing a super job.
Tim Rosenbaugh has some veteran receivers at his disposal.
And Anthony Thompson is really expected to do a good job this afternoon. He was a high draft choice, and he's going to be super.
So here's Rosenbaugh, 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line of the Cardinals. On an end around, this is Ernie Jones. Some razzle-dazzle by the Cardinals on the very first play of this game as he carries up close to midfield. John Rady forces him out of bounds after a 15-yard gain. Here's this Atlanta defensive line.
Yeah, and Tim Green is having a great year as a defensive lineman where he really belongs.
The linebackers are very active for the Falcons.
And Jesse Tuggle, nobody expected him to play nearly as well as he's played. He's been super.
Big changes on the left corner for the Falcons.
Bobby Butler, a lot of experience, and they expect him to be fine on the corner.
1st and 10 for the Cardinals, and Anthony Thompson gets the call. He can't find any running room. Looks like be a loss of a yard on the play. Anthony Thompson will see a lot of action today. Johnny Johnson, the favorite to be the rookie of the year on offense in the NFL, has a sprained ankle and is inactive. Miles and Gann combined on the stop. Inactive along with Johnson is Ahmad Field, a wide receiver just signed this week. For the Falcons, running backs Settle and Pringle did not dress and will not play. 5 defensive backs in for the Falcons on 2nd and 10 from the 50. Thompson. Gained about 2 or 3. The ball is loose, and the Falcons have it. Bobby Butler, the veteran of 10 years out of FSU, on the recovery.
I tell you, one thing that's going to be very difficult for Phoenix, it's going to be tough to run against this Atlanta defense. They try to run it outside to our right. There's the pitch. And watch the pursuit. Butler comes in from the backside. Watch him. He gets hit from the inside. The ball bounces backwards, and Butler recovers the fumble, and the Atlanta Falcons have possession, 1st and 10.
It was Tuggle with the strip, Butler with the recovery, and the Falcons now will try to take advantage of an early turnover with Scott Campbell at quarterback. He gives it off to Mike Rozier, starting for the 2nd week in a row, and he's got a nice gain inside the 45-yard line. The Falcon offensive line.
Mike Ken, the All-Pro, is having the best year he's had in a couple of years.
And at running back, Mike Rozier with a second straight start.
Yes, and he ran like a kid last week, and they expect him to do that again this afternoon.
Andre Rison along with Michael Haynes open at wide receiver. Falcons ran the ball convincingly last week against Tampa Bay, and with a backup quarterback in there in Campbell, certainly they'll try to do the same here early until the Cardinals stop them. 2nd and 5 from the 43. Rozier once more. And he's bounced out of bounds after picking up the first down across the way.
Chris hitting the right tackle, number 71, really pulled and got a great block out in front that provided running room inside of that block that he provided.
Rozier's shaken up as he was driven all the way underneath the Cardinal bench. Bell and Young forcing him to the sideline and beyond.
Personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, 43 of the defense. First down.
That's Lonnie Young, guilty of unsportsmanlike conduct.
Here we see the run to our right. Now here's Hinton. Look at Hinton, a beautiful block by Hinton. Now he gets hit out of bounds. Rozier does. Watch Young come in, number 43, and give him a little massage on the sideline. It's a penalty against the Phoenix Cardinals.
So this is more like Falcon football. This is the way it goes at home when the Falcons are here. You'll see lots of flags during the course of the afternoon. 1st and 10 from the 22-yard line of the Cardinals. Again, keeping it on the ground with Rozier. Tim McDonald, the strong safety, who's a great run supporter on the tackle.
Personality of these two teams defensively are very much the same. They gang tackle, they pursue, and react very, very well.
Up front for the Cardinals.
Freddie Joe Nunn, he's done a good job of sacking. I think with the addition of Dexter Manley, he'll even get more.
3 number 1s at linebacker.
Well, Eric Hill is a terrific linebacker, was a middle linebacker, now he's playing inside and doing super.
And the hero of last week on the left corner.
Cedric Mack, terrific speed, good reaction.
2nd and 7 from the 19-yard line of the Cardinals as Rison comes in motion. Campbell will roll, look to throw his first pass. And be sacked back at the 24-yard line by Ken Harvey. His 6th of the season.
And what happened on the play, Chris Hinton did not contain the outside rusher, Freddie Joe Nunn, and as a result, for that reason, he didn't get a chance to throw the ball and get the ball upfield.
The loss is back to the 24-yard line where it will be 3rd and 12.
The Cardinals have 6 defensive backs in the contest at this time.
Take a look at Jerry Glanville with the Falcons back in black this season. They are 3-2 at home, winless on the road. Rison in motion once more. Here's the red gun offense of the Falcons. For Sean Collins, it's overthrown around the 14-yard line. Coverage provided by Lorenzo Lynch.
And that time they had plenty of coverage. They had 7 defensive backs in the game that time.
And that will occasion a field goal attempt by Greg Davis. Davis is 16 out of 24 on the season. This will be a 42-yard attempt. The winds are negligible. Out of the hold of Fulhay. He leaves it to the right, hooks in nicely, and the Falcons are on the board. They take advantage of the first turnover of this game, and the Falcons take an early 3-0 lead on the Davis field goal. Former roommates as assistants back at Western Kentucky way back in 1967. Joe Bugle to the left and Jerry Glanville to the right. They had the highest regard for each other, though Glanville said he won't talk to him probably even much after the game. He'll wait till they have their meetings in the off season. And it's Glanville with an early 3-0 lead on the 42-yard Davis field goal.
And the nice thing about it from Joe's standpoint, he was a landlord. He had to collect the money. He got $30 a month from Glanville. That was hard to believe.
This is a shorter kickoff to Larry Centers from the 6. Fights his way up close to the 25-yard line. The Falcons were able to take advantage of the Anthony Thompson fumble. Bobby Butler recovered at the Phoenix 47, and it resulted in the 42-yard Davis field goal, putting Atlanta on top 3-0 with 10:57 to play here in quarter number 1.
They're really excited about the quarterback play of Tim Rosenbach. He's really been doing a great job.
The Falcons have a huge disparity on their opponents in scoring in the first quarter. Now 84-28, they have outscored their opponents in quarter number 1, but the second quarter has been a different story. Rosenbach looks to throw, will run. Brought down by Rady at the 27-yard line. John Rady's recovering from a painful hip pointer that really impaired his play last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rosenbach loves to do this. He's the second leading ground gainer on the team.
They're in bump and run that time, man-for-man coverage, and it's tight. He sees a little running room, takes advantage of it, but Rady is right there. He's man-for-man. He's the cop. He's the policeman right there to make the tackle.
5 DBs in the game for the Falcons. 2nd and 8 from the 27. In motion is Reeves. Battling for yardage across the 30 is Anthony Thompson. Thompson's a strong runner, but primarily inside the tackles. They miss the speed of Johnny Johnson.
It's going to be interesting to see how he plays this afternoon. He hasn't had much of an opportunity to do that, but he comes into the league with a great reputation, and talking to him, he has a lot of confidence in his ability.
And very supportive of Johnson, even though Johnson has stolen the spotlight from the second-round draft choice. He says he hopes he makes Rookie of the Year. Terrence Flagler, who is a third down specialist, checks in, and it'll be 3rd and 4 at the 31. Jones in motion. Rosenbach flips it out for Flagler. It is caught, and it looks like he has the first down at the 35-yard line by about the length of the football.
They had 5 defensive backs that time. The coverage was good. They got pretty good pressure. But again, I don't think they can beat this team unless they throw the ball very, very well here this afternoon, talking about Phoenix.
Jesse Tuggle, nicknamed the Hammer, forces him out of bounds, but it's a Phoenix first down at the 35-yard line of the Cardinals. Just over 9 minutes to play in the first quarter here in Atlanta. Gorgeous afternoon, temperatures in the high 50s. Falcons lead 3-0. Reeves in motion. Rosenbach throwing, and it's caught on the near sideline by Roy Green, the 12-year veteran out of Henderson.
And Green did a good job of coming back for the ball. They were man-for-man coverage. He ran off the corner and then came back for the ball as the quarterback, Rosenbach, moved the pocket and came outside of containment.
Working in the area of Bobby Butler, who gets the start on the left corner for Charles Dimry, who's been burned and burned often, was burned by the Tampa Bay Bucks last week for the winning touchdown on Mark Carrier's effort. So it will be 2nd and 10 coming up here. The catch is made up around the 38-yard line by Anthony Thompson, filtering out of the backfield.
And that time Green was on the right side. The defensive back Butler turned his back to the sideline, which means that you ought to be able to throw outside moves on Butler when he turns to the inside with his knees facing the middle of the field.
Rosenbach's a real competitor. He says, I'm a feisty guy, and he likes to get it done no matter which way he can do it. Whether it's running it or passing it, he's not averse to taking it upfield himself and taking the punishment along with it. 3rd and 5 from the 40. Flag is down. Rosenbach works the near sideline to Kroll, and that's incomplete. Broken up by Roland Mitchell, but there's a flag at the 44.
5 defensive backs that time, and they were blitzing.
Our referee today is Tom Dooley.
23 defense. First down.
And the penalty will go against the Falcon defense. You see that the Falcons are far more penalized this season than last.
You know, one thing that the Atlanta likes to do, and a lot of people do it, they like to hold the offensive lineman with the defensive lineman so they get somebody free, and sometimes that they're going to get caught for penalties.
On 1st and 10 from the 45, Thompson fights his way into Falcon territory around the 47-yard line. Interesting that the Cardinals are 28th passing in the NFL, dead last, and the Falcons are 28th against the pass. So far, they've been keeping it on the ground primarily. Look at Joe Bugle, what a delightful guy he is. Both these teams have lost some tough games this year, but both appear to be headed in the right direction.
In Glanville, with that humor of his, he said, I got to win this game this week. I don't want Joe to get fired.
A la Ray Perkins last week, after Perkins and the Bucks beat the Falcons. That carry is down close to the 35 as some little extracurricular activity breaks out. Now, this is a way the Falcons really haven't played since the first game of the season against the Oilers, Hank. There's little tete-a-tetes that keep cropping up. They play a lot more aggressively at home than they do on the road.
And I can't understand that. We asked the players, they said, well, our wives and families are here when we play at home, but evidently they don't realize that there's television, and everybody in the country is watching them when they're on television, a lot more people. So it's hard to understand that rationale.
The Landbills teams both in Houston and here have had a very difficult time on the road. Falcons as a team have lost 17 straight in enemy territory. 3rd and 1 from the 45, and Rosenbaugh is going to go to the sideline after the Cardinals call timeout. About midway through quarter number 1, the Falcons on top 3-0. Dexter Manley on the sideline with a year's worth of adrenaline churning inside him, Hank.
Yes, and he's wearing number 92. He's ordinarily worn 72, but Sadler has 72, so he's got 92, and he doesn't make any difference. He just wants to play. He's chomping at the bit, anxious to get in there and do something.
He has not been in as yet, but we'll certainly await his arrival and his return to football. So Rosenbaugh has straightened it out on the sideline. 3rd and 1 from the 45 of the Falcons. Jones in motion. Pitch goes to Thompson. Swarmed over and short. Brian Jordan's there. Scott Case is there.
They have an outside blitz. He tries to run outside, and the problem with running outside, if they get penetration, you're in trouble. Watch the penetration. Look at the outside. There's a penetration coming up the field. They have no chance whatsoever to make any yardage on that play because of the penetration and the pursuing defense of the Atlanta Falcons.
Tony Casillas was in there too, so Rich Camarillo will have to punt it away. It's high. It's hanging short. Sanders is going to let it hit, and it bounces out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Nice punt by Camarillo of 38 yards with no return. 6 minutes remaining in quarter number 1. The Falcons are leading 3-0.
Watch John Jackson 80 and watch Scott Case 25. They get a little pushing contest, a little shoulder pad there, another push, a left hook off balance, not thrown very good.
That was a better fight than last night's, though.
But anyway, it was one of those boys will be boys thing, nothing more than that.
Falcons are a little bit more aggressive at home. Look at Rozier pick it up on the bounce and get out of bounds around the 7-yard line. Almost a disastrous play for the Falcons and Mike Rozier. Let's return to New York, where Greg Gumbel has an NFL update. Greg?
All right, Jim, at Giants Stadium, Jumbo Elliott hasn't played since September 30th. Chris Dolman beats him on the pass rush. That's the 10th sack of the year for Dolman. 2 points for the Vikings. And Bill Parcells, troubled with the kidney stone problem, sees his Giants down 2 in the first. Jim?
Vikings on a roll. And Dexter Manley comes on for the first time in over a year. He's lined up at right defensive end, and Campbell rolls away from him to throw. Caught by Risen. Looks like he has the first down at the 20.
And that's their 5 defensive backs package that time, and they roll away from Dexter Manley. He's running outside up the field and doesn't get much penetration at all as far as a quarterback because he rolled away from it. Rolling to the right. Manley is in the left corner. No chance whatsoever to put any pressure on the quarterback because he rolls very wisely away from Dexter Manley. Number 92.
14-yard pickup for Risen, and that pushes him over the 1,000-yard mark in receptions, one of his goals this season. He is the second leading receiver to Jerry Rice in the NFL. Steve Broussard, who was inactive last week with an ankle injury, checks in now at running back on 1st and 10. Broussard is hitting in the backfield, and the ball is loose. A scramble for it inside the 15-yard line, and the Falcons recover. Well, Broussard had a fumbling problem earlier this season, and Glanville took him out.
Yes, and that time it looked like Dexter saw the ball and looked like he had a shot at it, but it squirted out of there. Didn't have a chance. Here's the shot. Running off tackle. Penetration, gets hit from the backside by Harvey. And Dexter really was in there fighting for the ball. Almost got a hand on it, but it squirted away, and Atlanta has possession.
Jerry Glanville says, you fumbled the football. You watched the game with me. And Broussard, who has been in his doghouse, is back alongside of him on the Falcon bench after just one play. Here's Campbell throwing underneath. Ball is tipped. Ball is tipped again and incomplete at the 29-yard line. Sean Collins was in there. Lorenzo Lynch had his hands on it momentarily, along with Tim McDonald.
It looked like Lynch had a chance to intercept that ball and just missed it. Those are the kind of big plays you have to make, and that's what both of these young teams have had, those kind of opportunities, but they really haven't taken advantage of the opportunities, and that's why their record is what it is. But the effort has been great.
You think the adrenaline's flowing to excess, and Campbell as well. He's been throwing the ball high a lot here early.
Yeah, he's getting rid of the ball a little bit too quickly. That's why he's going up in the air. He's got to hold on to it just a fraction longer.
3rd and 16. Half rollout for Campbell. He's got room to run and will do so. First down for Scott Campbell at the 33.
That's really a big play for Scott Campbell. That gives him something positive to hang his hat on, and it'll help him tremendously as he goes along in this game. See, he moves around well. He's got great escapability. He looks, sees a gap, sees a cavity, decisively makes the move, cuts back to his left, runs through some traffic, and spins his way for another 4 or 5 yards. Really a terrific run by Scott Campbell.
Scott Campbell's the shortest quarterback in the NFL at 6 foot and 195, 5th-year man out of Purdue. And he scrambles upwards to the 34-yard line, where it's 1st and 10 for the Falcons. They lead at 3-0 with 3:14 to play in quarter number 1. Flag is down as Rozier gets the call. Doesn't get much on the right side. We talked to Campbell yesterday, and he was saying how anonymous he is in this city. Said he went out to the mall the other night, not a single person recognized him as a member of the Atlanta Falcons, and now their quarterback. Jim Waller was offside, the nose tackle.
56 defense, lined up in the neutral zone, first down.
So the Falcons have another first down by penalty up at the 39-yard line. Ken Harvey, one of the emerging stars in this league at right outside linebacker for the Cardinals, has 6.5 sacks after collecting one earlier in the first quarter. Rozier now and Keith Jones are in the backfield. Collins is split out wide to the right, Rison wide left. 1st and 5 from the 39. Filters it out to Rozier, and that's incomplete.
I think Dexter Manley got a piece of that ball.
It might have been Rod Sadler who was up in there.
That's who it was. I related to his old number, 72, inadvertently. Yeah, it was Sadler. It was Sadler who got a piece of the ball.
Dexter would like to have that number back because he's going to have to change his wardrobe if he doesn't. Did you see yesterday all of his cuffs on his shirts, as we talked to him yesterday, have number 72 embroidered on them?
I think he'll have enough money to reinvest in some new cuffs for those shirts.
Boy, he's in good shape too. He's been working out hard. 2nd and 5 at the 39-yard line. Draw play. Rozier doesn't get much.
That was a trap play that time with the right tackle. Hinton trapping from right tackle to his left. Got penetration again, but anytime that you get any penetration on those kind of plays, you're going to be in trouble as far as making yardage is concerned.
Last week, the Tampa Bay Bucks were banged up front. The Falcons came out running the ball and never stopped for the entire game. The Cardinals are a far more physical bunch defensively. 3rd and 4 with the ball at the Falcon 40. You can see what the Falcons did last week against the Bucks.
They like to get the ball to Rison in this situation.
The reception is made by Floyd Dixon into Cardinal territory, and the Falcons have a first down. Jay Taylor on the coverage.
There he is. He moves the pocket, which he likes to do very much. Throws the ball nicely right on target to Dixon. He makes the catch and is
here. Has to fight his way for a couple of tough yards. Cardinals are really penetrating, like you said, Hank. Defensively, they're really coming off the ball.
Bell was coming up the field on that last play and got hit from the blind side. He had no idea. It was a beautiful block, but in spite of that, why they didn't make any yardage on the play.
A flag was dropped in the middle of the pile around the 37. Tom Dooley is our referee today.
We have a personal foul, crackback block, number 38 offense, first down.
That's the one we were talking about. That's the one that we were talking about a minute ago. Jones comes back in motion and got Bell on a crackback block. And obviously, it's a penalty on the play.
Keith Jones is the disaster quarterback on this team right now. They have just two quarterbacks dressed in Campbell and the veteran Hugh Millen. Chris Miller was operated on yesterday for that broken clavicle, and he has a long rehabilitation ahead of him. 1st and 25 after the penalty. The line of scrimmage is now the Falcon 47. Dixon in motion. Falcons in the red gun. That's caught on the far sideline by Michael Haynes. An 18-yard grab.
6 defensive backs, blitz on the outside coming, man-for-man coverage. Look at the room. The linebacker comes under. Watch Michael Haynes, high catch. Catches it in his hands, holds onto it. Nice play on the part of Dixon.
Coverage by Marcus Turner, who was the hero last week, taking in a lateral from Cedric Mack after an interception. 21 more yards for the winning touchdown against the Colts.
I made a mistake. There was Haynes, not Dixon.
2nd and 7 from the 35. Campbell wants it all, looking for Collins. There's bumping downfield, but no flag. Lorenzo Lynch and Collins tied up from about the 15-yard line to the goal line, but there are no flags. We've got a great day for football in Atlanta as the 3-9 Falcons are taking on the 4-8 Cardinals. Cardinals lead this series 8-4. And we're in Fulton County Stadium, where the first non-sellout crowd of the season at home for the Falcons is looking on. And seeing their Falcons leading 3-0 and driving once more, the 11th play in this drive forthcoming. 3rd and 7 from the Cardinal 35. Campbell hit and dropped. That was Ken Harvey who came flying over. I believe it was Mike Rozier and sacked him.
He anticipated that beautifully. Rozier was down, ready to block him, and he took a leap right over the top. Watch him come here now. Watch him right to your left of your screen. He jumps right over Rozier and into the face of the quarterback. What a play by Harvey. And he's really been an outstanding linebacker. Nobody hears too much about him, but he's a very, very good linebacker.
Some good linebackers in the NFL playing that position, wearing number 56. Lawrence Taylor and Pat Swilling come to mind immediately. Harvey's in their class. Scott Fulhag will punt it away. Vi Sikahima back deep. It's a wobbly snap. Fulhag gets it away. A lazy punt. It'll be fair caught around the 17-yard line by Sikahema. A 26-yard punt with no return. We have reached the end of quarter number 1 here in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where the Falcons lead 3-0. Falcon offense trying to work out some first quarter kinks on the bench, although they lead it 3-0. Taking advantage of the Anthony Thompson fumble by Bobby Butler, and Greg Davis kicking a 42-yard field goal for the only score of this game to date. Joe Bugle across the way.
And he's very much involved in the game. He just doesn't stand there with a headsets on, he's involved in this contest.
You like that, don't you, from a head coach?
Yeah, I like to see him working on Sunday.
Rosenbaugh, play action. Back across the field for Green, and Bobby Butler takes him out of bounds after he's picked up the first down around the 30.
Bobby Butler, you know, was a number 1 draft choice and played here for a long time as a regular corner. And an outstanding corner, but he's very cautious at this stage of his career. He's very fearful of getting beat deep. As a result, you ought to be able to throw those kind of patterns on him in front of him and then gradually work downfield deeper. After you throw a couple of those sideline patterns, I think then you have a chance to go upfield.
Scott Campbell, the new number 1 quarterback for the Falcons, looks on as the Cardinals choose to run it straight ahead with Anthony Thompson. The Falcons are playing a lot more zone, aren't they, than they did earlier in the season?
Well, they're trying to mix it up and trying to give the defensive backs a little bit more help. A lot of times they get caught, you know, blitzing people, and as a result, there's no help whatsoever for the corners on the inside with the safeties, and as a result, that's a dangerous situation to be in.
Thompson has carried 7 times already, but for just 15 yards. Falcons are very difficult to run against. Tony Casillas now in the lineup up front for the Falcons on 2nd and 9 from the 32 of the Cardinals. Ricky Kroll in motion. Rosenbaugh. Incomplete, thrown behind Ernie Jones up at the 45-yard line. Again, they're working on Bobby Butler.
And here again, there was man-for-man coverage. And the one thing that you have to be impressed with, Rosenbaugh early in the season and last year would not have done what he did. He stayed right in the pocket, didn't flinch, didn't look for a place to escape, stayed right in the pocket and delivered the ball to the receiver, except it was a little bit behind.
And so it will be 3rd and 9 at the 32. 5 defensive backs check in for the Falcons. Green is split out wide right. Ernie Jones, who supplanted J.T. Smith in the lineup for the Cardinals, wide left. Rosenbaugh throws, and that's complete. Complete to Jones, is driven out of bounds in front of the Falcon bench up close to midfield. 17-yard gain.
Again, they had a five defensive backs, outside guys blitzing on the play, rolling to his left. Here again, he stayed in the pocket even though he moved a little bit and got the ball right there what had to be thrown. A good sign of the poise and confidence of Rosenbaugh. Watch Rosenbaugh now. Look, he rolls to his left a little bit. See, he stops. People are flying all over around him, but he stops and has total concentration on getting the ball thrown up the field. He does it, and they pick up a nice first down on a play on a pass pattern to Jones. One
of the few times they've thrown in Deion Sanders' direction here in the first half. 1st and 10 at the 49-yard line of the Cardinals, who trail 3-0. Flea flicker with Rosenbaugh having all sorts of time and throwing it incomplete at the 28-yard line. Rosenbaugh was hit as he delivered that ball. Looking for Ernie Jones, it wasn't close.
Yeah, they're back in the zone, reading it very carefully. They were very deep. Had no chance whatsoever to make that play complete, except on the possibility, since he was crossing on the play, coming from one side of the field to the other. That's always a possibility, but very rarely. Watch Green giving him a shot with the top of his hat. But he's very aggressive, and he's tickled to death to be back at the defensive line position. He'll play a variety of spots, but he's very aggressive.
2nd and 10 from the 49. Again, all sorts of time for Rosenbaugh. Doing it himself. He's bumped out of bounds right around midfield. Rick Bryan chases him to the sideline. There's a flag down way across the field at the 32-yard line of the Falcons. As we'll get it straightened out here, the side judge is Dean Look. Call will go against the Falcons. Rosenbaugh really hits the weights hard, doesn't he? He's not your typical quarterback.
Illegal contact. Number 23, while he was still in the pocket. First down.
Bobby Butler guilty of illegal contact. Butler again starting today for Charles Dimry. They're telling me here in Atlanta that a couple of weeks ago when the Falcons were home and Dimry was having so many problems during pregame warmups, they were throwing pieces of bread at him out of the stands, signifying that he would be toast by the end of the game.
Fans are very kind.
Yes, they are. He's on the sideline today, replaced by Butler. 1st and 10 from the 46. Thompson again. Can't get outside. The Falcons swarm to the ball. As they've said, they like to make an 11-man pile on defense when you try to run the ball against them.
And the funny thing about them, watching them practice several weeks ago, Jerry Glanville said, now we make them chase and pursue until they hear the whistle and gang tackle. I watched the practice, and after the practice, I said, Jerry, I never saw a coach with a whistle. He said, we don't have one.
Derek Kennard will be attended to with an injury timeout that we'll take as well. Falcons are leading.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? McDonald's, you know the one. It's McDonald's for food, folks, and fun. And by Cook Champagne Cellars. Cook Champagne, discovered every day since 1859.
We're here in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, a city that is truly on the move. They've got some great things to look forward to here. The 1992 Georgia Dome when it opens. They've got the Super Bowl coming up in '94 and the 1996 Olympics, of course.
And even though they don't show it today, Jim, they're excited about this Atlanta Falcon team. They really are. They're excited about what Jerry Glanville is doing with this football team, and they have high hopes and expectation for this football team, just like Phoenix has for theirs in Phoenix.
Kennard's on the bench briefly. Rosenbaugh is in the grasp, and there's a flag down as well in the Falcons secondary at the 41. Mike Gann collars Rosenbaugh, but we'll await the results of the flag down at the 42 in the area where Bobby Butler has been.
They had a blitz on that time. Connor was blitzing number 56.
93 defense. 2nd down.
Andre Bruce, the very disappointing first-round draft choice of 3 years ago.
Yeah, he's had a tough time. He's really very anxious to play. He's a good blitzer, but he hasn't exercised good judgment on a couple of occasions. He got the blitz and then mauled the quarterback and got a 15-yard penalty tacked on. This time he's offside. This is why he hasn't played that much.
2nd and 4 at the 40-yard line of the Falcons. Rosenbaugh throws for the sideline, and that's broken down, intended for Roy Green. It's slapped away by Bobby Butler.
And they're changing the coverage pretty much. That time they were in zone coverage. We'll see a picture here of Bobby Butler, number 23. Look at the way he turns his knees to the inside, and he's got a good cushion. You ought to be able to throw outside of him, but in spite of that, he reacted well to the ball and knocked the ball down.
So it will be 3rd and 4 at the 40-yard line. Both teams having a difficult time moving offensively in this 3-0 game that the Falcons lead. 11:27 to play in the 2nd quarter. Ball isn't snapped for Rosenbaugh. It's covered by the Falcons, but this play may have been blown dead. Picked up by Roland Mitchell, but will probably come back with flags all over the place.
And there again, they had bump and run, man-for-man coverage.
Our referee is Tom Dooley today. And the 5-yard mark-off will go against the Cardinals for illegal procedure. So the line of scrimmage is the Cardinal 45-yard line. 8th play in this drive that has moved in fits and starts to the Falcon 45 now. 3rd and 9. Rosenbaugh steps up. He's got his receiver. Prohl, he makes the catch, and it's a touchdown for the Cardinals. A 45-yard strike to Ricky Prohl. And the Cardinals take the lead.
There are 5 defensive backs that time. In his own coverage, it looked like. Here we see on the right side. You see, he got some pressure from the outside, but he steps up into the pocket. A good move by Rosenball. He catches the ball right down the seam, goes into the end zone for the touchdown. But a good play on the part of Rosenball in the pocket. He could have been sacked.
It was the free safety Scott Case who came over just a little too late. And when he couldn't deflect that ball, it was a touchdown. Del Greco's extra point is good. We have 11:19 to remain in the second quarter. The Cardinals have taken the lead over the Falcons in Atlanta, 7-3.
This game summary is sponsored by AT&T, the right choice.
Well, if you've been picking up some noise through our headsets, it sounds like a million bees droning throughout Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. That's the cause of it, that aerial advertising up above. Well, Dexter Manley has been in for a few plays, though he does not have a sack. He's had a little bit of pressure. The big play to date, the 45-yard strike from Rosenball to Ricky Prohl just moments ago.
And we talked about that going into the game. They're going to win this game if they do, by throwing the football and coming up with big plays against that coverage. That time they caught him in the zone. They still scored big.
Al Del Greco to kick it away. He's had a lot of trouble with his kickoffs this year.
He's only had one touchback in his last 30 games, 119 kickoffs.
Dion from the 4. He's got a seam. He's loose at the 40. Into Cardinal territory to the 49-yard line. A 47-yard return for Dion.
He's exciting. One problem here, Jim. He's carrying the ball. He's running to his right. He's got the ball in the left arm. That is dangerous because that's where all the folks are coming from. There he is with the ball, and he's got a good wall, makes a good decision, but look where that ball is. He doesn't even have it close to his side. It looked like he did step out of bounds. That's where the official's foot is. That's where they mark the ball.
Yes, they do. Back at the 43-yard line. Sanders' best return of the season. Looking to throw. This is Keith Jones. He's got Risen. A little razzle-dazzle from both teams. A 37-yard strike.
One thing, they got a good block on Bell on the outside. Watch him go down. He moves the pocket, and look at this, right over the top to Risen. A big play and a first down opportunity for the Falcons.
Jay Taylor brings him down at the 20-yard line. So the Falcons, who enjoyed a 3-0 lead after one quarter and saw the Cardinals hit a big play to trail 7-3, come right back. Campbell. Short little pass to his tight end. And in for the touchdown is Gary Wilkins. Just the 9th reception of the season for Wilkins, his 2nd touchdown. A former Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket.
That was a misdirection play, a bootleg. The backs went to the left, and Scott Campbell rolled to the right. I got outside of containment, threw the ball beautifully, no pressure whatsoever, throws it into the end zone for the touchdown to the tight end, Wilkins.
6'2", 235, 5th-year man from just down the interstate here in Atlanta. Greg Davis to kick the extra point. And the Falcons are back in the lead. 10:06 to play, quarter number 2 here in Atlanta. The Falcons on top 10-7.
Here we see the play. The backs are going to their left. A good fake. Watch the middle linebacker and watch the people. Look at this. Fake left, good fake. Look at the linebackers move in that direction. Scott Campbell comes all the way outside of containment. Nobody there. Throws the ball to Wilkins underneath, and he goes right into the end zone for the touchdown. Great execution on the play and a good block downfield.
Greg Davis will kick it away just like that for the Falcons. The Sanders kickoff return, the pass from Jones to Risen, and then the 20-yard touchdown strike. Taken by Centers around his 15. And the running back gets it up up to about the 24-yard line. Larry Centers, 5th-round draft choice out of Stephen F. Austin.
They like him very much. I think the first time we saw him, Jim, was down in Miami. That's the first time they put him back there in a deep position, and they have a lot of confidence in him and think he's going to be very outstanding down the road.
Linebacker Ken Tippins brings him down at the 24-yard line of the Cardinals. Buffalo keeps rolling. And Seattle on top of Green Bay. He's playing Anthony Dilweg again this week. Anthony Thompson, the lone setback, and the one-back offense of the Cardinals, 1st and 10. Rosenbaugh throwing deep and overthrowing his intended receiver on the far sideline. That was Ernie Jones, as Rosenbaugh took another shot as he delivered the football.
Well, he justifiably did that. It was man-for-man coverage. He tried to get up on top. And again, I can't emphasize too much and too strongly how impressed you have to be with Rosenbaugh, the way he has changed his personality and hangs tough in the pocket. He'll run when he has a chance, but he's got great concentration as far as getting the ball downfield and hanging in there tough and staying in the pocket.
He's matured a lot since you and I saw him back in Miami a few weeks ago. 5 DBs in for the Falcons on 2nd and 10 from the 24. Rosenbaugh, who's 5 out of 10 for 85 yards, gives it off straight ahead to Thompson, and he gets very little.
Well, that time they had 6 defensive back blitz from the outside. Talking to Thompson the other day, I said, Thompson, you know, what do you feel about your running style? Are you a escape runner, a slasher, an outside runner? How would you describe your ability? He says, I'm a little bit of everything. I do all of those things I like to think I do, but I'm a power runner more than anything, and that's what I like to do.
Green is split out wide to the right, Jones wide left. 3rd and 9 from the Cardinal 25. Rosenbaugh throwing deep again. Once more, they're working on Butler. Well, I tell you what, Deion Sanders can take the day off, can he? They never look in his direction. They've been going after this guy all day.
Yes, and of course, he's a cagey old pro. He really is, and he's very deceptive the way he turns his knees to the inside, and yet is able to come back on balls that are thrown in front of him.
Why does he do that?
That's his style, I guess. He wants to make sure he can look back into the quarterback and see the receiver at the same time.
Falcon defense causing the Cardinals to go 3 and out for the first time here in the first half. It has 9:04 to play. Camarillo to punt it away. Back deep, the dangerous Deion Sanders. Oh, almost blocked. Sanders on the run is hit immediately at the 42-yard line. Brought down by Marcus Turner. Timeout on the field with 8:57 to play. Quarter number 2, Falcons lead 10-7. Back in Atlanta, Jim Henderson along with Hank Stram. A low-scoring affair here in the second quarter in Atlanta, but down the road a piece yesterday in Statesboro. A far different story. In the Division I AA semifinals, Georgia Southern's in it again, and they will be taking on Nevada Reno. And you'll be watching it here on CBS next Saturday at noon Eastern Time. Scott Campbell rolling and looking to throw on first down. Will run it. Dives forward to the 47-yard line. Jim Waller, the nose tackle, in on the tackle. Let's put Greg Gumbel back to work in New York with this NFL Today update. Greg?
All right, Jim, at Giants Stadium, the Vikings have extended their lead. From a yard out, Alfred Anderson scores. And with the point after, it's Minnesota leading the Giants now 12-3. About 7 minutes remaining, first half, Jim.
Vikings next week will be traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. They'll be making their debut under their new head coach, Richard Williamson. 2nd and 6 from the 48-yard line of the Falcons. Broussard's in motion. Campbell throws, and it's incomplete off the fingertips of Sean Collins, who makes a diving attempt for the ball at the 39. Cedric Mack on the coverage.
Had a blitz on that time. Had a blitz on.
Sean Collins, the leading Falcon receiver of a year ago, but he's been relegated to a secondary role after the huge blockbuster of a trade in the offseason for Andre Rison. We're at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium on a beautiful afternoon for football. Temperatures expected to climb into the high 50s. And the Falcons are leading the Cardinals 10-7 with 8:08 to play in the second quarter. Campbell overthrows Rison around the 44-yard line. Looks like Campbell's a lot more comfortable rolling out, Hank.
Well, he has to be 6 foot tall. We mentioned earlier, Jim, and he can see better. And plus the fact that the passing lanes open up a lot better for him, and as a result, you don't throw over the top of people, you throw between people. So the size factor is greatly exaggerated on many occasions, but in this particular case with the run and shoot, why, it helps him tremendously with the rope.
The defense is starting to stiffen. 3 and out for the Falcons as well for the first time. Scott Fullhag to punt it away. Back deep, it's Sikahema. From his 6, he's going to try to bring it back. Out to the 12.
Bad decision. Bad decision. He was back there on the 5. He should say to himself, if the ball comes to me, I'm going to let it go into the end zone and get it on the 20.
46-yard punt and a 6-yard return by Sikahema.
Here we see a good picture of Johnny Johnson. He isn't playing today because he's got a bad ankle. Earlier in the season, he was the leading receiver in the NFC, and now he's the third best running back in the league. But he's a great talent, and they miss him because he's a big play guy.
They miss his speed outside. Thompson more of a slasher between the tackles. Jones in motion. The give is to Thompson on the delay. Beyond his own 15, close to the 16-yard line.
Look at all those black shirts around the ball carrier. They really pursue and gang tackle as well as anybody in the National Football League. That's why it's important that you have to be able to run some reverses and some counter plays to take advantage of that over pursuit.
Well, we saw the Cardinals open with the end around today on their first play from scrimmage.
They have to do more of that. Even if they don't succeed in making it a big play, they still have to do it to keep the defense honest.
2nd and 7. The ball around the 15. Thompson again. Picks up about 3 hard-earned yards up to around the 20. And Deion Sanders is involved in a fight on the near sideline. The wide receiver Ernie Jones was blocking on him downfield.
If you can get in a fight, you want to make sure you get in a fight on your side of the field. That's a smart move on the part of Sanders.
Yeah, and you looked at Deion, he mixed it up for a minute, and then when the big guys got in there, he quickly retreated to the bench. Sanders has been knocked for not giving enough run support, for not being tough enough on the corner.
Here he comes to the... Watch Thompson running the ball. Now he's got it in his left hand, but he's left-handed by nature, and as a result, he has a tendency to run with the ball in his left hand, even when he runs to the right.
3rd and 2 from the 20. Rosenbaugh throws. Complete to Roy Green for the first down, and again, they work on Bobby Butler.
Well, I don't know why they don't do more of that even, Jim, because again, as I mentioned, you know, he's looking to the inside. His knees are to the inside of the field, and you get him running backwards, and you should be able to run comebacks and outside moves against the way he plays. Very difficult to just run by him. He still has good speed and great anticipation as far as the long ball is concerned.
Green is split out wide to the right. Proles in a slot left. Outside of him to his left is Jones on 1st and 10. Rosenbaugh buys some time, wants to throw it deep, and it's incomplete. As Rosenbaugh was dumped, it was Bobby Butler who had a chance at the interception. But that ball was so badly thrown, he didn't expect to see it there.
Well, I think what happened is he was rolling, and he tried to get the ball downfield. He felt the pressure coming right about the time he threw the ball. Watch in here now. Watch it. See that he saw the pressure out the corner of his eye and threw it a little bit before he wanted to, plus the fact he just threw it badly. That's the only thing you can say about that throw.
That he did, as Rosenbaugh has been cooling off, throwing pretty erratically here in the second quarter. 2nd and 10 from the 26. Falcons go with 6 defensive backs. Reeves in motion. Run it straight ahead to Thompson, and he only picks up a couple. Well, they try to spread out that Falcon defense with the formation.
Well, I think really when you play a team like this one, and Philadelphia is another team that plays very much the same way, stopping the run, I think you have to go into the game with the anticipation that we're going to throw. We're going to trap some. We're going to draw some. We're going to screen some. We're going to run just enough to keep them honest, but we're going to throw the ball. We got to throw the ball to win this game.
Third down for Phoenix. They had a problem in that regard last week, but they're 4 out of 6 here in the first half against the Falcons, who bring in 7 defensive backs. Just a 3-man rush. Caught by Jones. Brought down at the 48-yard line. Cardinal first down, 20-yard reception by Ernie Jones.
And a good read and good pass protection, which they should have had. They had 5 guys blocking 3. They had 7 defensive backs in the game, and they went right between the defensive backs, and he put the ball right where it had to be thrown, but he stayed in the pocket nicely and read the defense and got the ball down the field for a first down.
1st and 10 at the 48-yard line of the Cardinals. About 5 minutes remaining in the second quarter, and the Falcons leading 10-7. Kroll and Green split out wide to the left. Reeves in motion. Straight ahead to Thompson, twisting and turning his way into Falcon territory. John Rady trips him up.
Rosenbaugh on 1st and 10 has only completed 1 of 5 passes. I think he's got to throw the ball more on 1st and 10, Jim.
It's been sticky going on the ground for the Cardinals, as the statistics would reflect. The Falcons are far better defensively against the run than they are the pass. 2nd and 7 from the Atlanta 49. Rosenbaugh flips it out quickly to Kroll. A very short gain as Roland Mitchell wrestles him out of bounds.
And that time they had 6 defensive backs, and they had double the outside receivers playing zone. I'm surprised that he threw the ball out in that area, because there was not really much room at all on the play. There you see, look how short he is. He's playing short. Sanders, number 21, they bring the guy out in the flat area, the tight end underneath, but only pick up a few yards on the play.
Excellent acquisition in the 3rd round of this draft, Ricky Kroll. Rosenbaugh goes for him again, and it's incomplete at the 42-yard line. And again, it was Roland Mitchell on the coverage, and the Cardinals will have to punt it away.
But that was blitz again. They were coming after him that time. He felt it coming. They didn't really get a chance to get a good set and rhythm on the throw and the follow through on the play.
Rich Camarillo, the 3rd leading punter in the NFC, averaging 43 coming in. You can see today his average down to 36. He's got some room to let out some shaft on this one, and he does. Sanders calls for and makes the fair catch at his own 13. Very bright sun that Deion Sanders was looking up into here in what would be short left field, and the Braves are in the baseball configuration here.
You know, Sanders has really grown considerably since he's been here. He's a big league kid. What he did last week was typical of that attitude. Last week after the game, while a lot of people thought that Jordan was responsible for the touchdown permission on in the last minute of the game, and after the game they all ran over to Jordan in the locker room and were asking him about the play. Sanders jumped up and he said, "Hey, don't go over to talk to him about the play. It was my blunder. I made the mistake. If you want to talk to somebody, come over and talk to me. It's my fault, not his fault." Not many guys are going to do that in that kind of a situation.
That's right. Jones and Rozier are the running backs. The pitch will go to Jones. Up around the 18-yard line. Deion has a nightclub here in town that he bought from Dominique Wilkins recently. Club 21 it's called. Giants and the Vikings. Giants still trailing. 49ers getting back up after that big Monday night game, and the Browns' woes continue against the Oilers. Indianapolis, who lost to these Cardinals last week, trailing early. Seattle ahead of Green Bay. Short gain for Rozier to about the 22-yard line. Garth Jacks, as a holding call, will go against Atlanta, who's in on the tackle. Garth Jacks, number 53, is playing with some sutures in his foot from trying to break up a dog fight.
71 offense. Second down.
Chris Hinton guilty of holding. Jack's dog and his sister's dog got in a fight outside in the yard. He went out a couple of weeks ago to try to break it up, and they both took after him. He played last week with around 12 stitches in his foot. Don't forget, coming up after this one, we'll be seeing the second half of our doubleheader as the Bears will take on the Washington Redskins. 2nd and 15 from the 10 of Atlanta. 7 defensive backs in the game for the Cardinals. On the delay, that's Steve Broussard. Still to follow, those Bears and the Redskins. Of course, the Bears have already clinched the NFC Central, but they're after that first round bye. The Redskins are trying to solidify their wild card chances with a 7-5 record. There's a timeout on the field, and we'll take it as well as the Falcons lead. Dexter Manley in the lineup, wearing number 92. Still looking for his first sack upon his return. He's seen a bit of action here in the first half, primarily in third down situations, and that's what the Falcons are facing here. 3rd and 9 from their 15. Scott Campbell, the quarterback. Dixon in motion. Flag goes down, and this will be blown dead before it really gets underway. Sounds like Bill Fralick, although we didn't completely pick up the mic of Tom Dooley. False start on, I believe, the right guard, Bill Fralick.
So far, Mike Kent is doing a good job on Dexter Manley. He hasn't had many opportunities, but so far he's gotten his face pretty well.
Bill Fralick, who had his locker retired at Pittsburgh, along with Tony Dorsett and Hugh Green. They retired my locker in high school. You probably didn't know that, did you?
Yeah, they retired and threw it out the window. Roll it down the hill.
They never could quite get that smell out of it. Check the biography. It's in there. Coming down to the 2-minute warning. We've got 2:11 to play, but a stoppage in play after the penalty on Fralick. 3rd and 14. It's a time for Campbell, and that's incomplete. And that time he had to stay in the pocket, and he was looking for a passing lane he never really found. Freddie Joe Nunn dumped him as he delivered the football. Take a look, if we can, at Dexter Manley's pass rush. He had a little bit of pressure, but he's still looking for that elusive first sack. Fulheg is backed up into his own end zone. Sikahema waits the punt at midfield. Guy Bingham is the Falcons center. Cardinals with a return on. Sikahema from his own 45. Inside the 45-yard line of the Falcons. We have reached the 2-minute warning as the Falcons are leading the Cardinals by 3. Cardinal ball when we return. We're in the final 2 minutes of the first half here in Atlanta. Jim Henderson along with Hank Stram. As the Falcons are leading 10-7. They led after the first quarter 3-0. Each team with a couple of exciting touchdown strikes for touchdowns here in the second quarter. Don't forget at halftime, Greg Gumbel and Terry Bradshaw with all your scores and highlights on the NFL Today. Falcons have been giving up just 3.1 yards per rush, best in the NFL coming in. That's exactly what they're surrendering to the Cardinals here in the first half. So Rosenball will go to the air and throw badly at the 40-yard line. It was way behind Terrence Flagler, but Rosenball again deposited on his backside by the Falcon rush.
And a safety blitz that time. And I tell you, this Falcon defense is murder to run against. They are tough.
Rosenbaugh 7 out of 16 for 93 yards. He had that big 45-yard touchdown strike to account for all the Cardinals' points. You can see what kind of job the Falcons are doing against that Phoenix rush. But again, Phoenix is missing Johnny Johnson. Rosenbaugh to Prohl, giving ground, looking for blocking, running to the sideline, and he did not get there. The clock is still running. And it shows 1:35 to play.
Minnesota still ahead, 12-10.
Roland Mitchell forced Prohl down before he could get out of bounds. Hurry up offense on 3rd and 1. Rosenbaugh complete to Jones. A flag is thrown at the 25-yard line. Prohl was involved with, I think, Scott Case or the safety Brian Jordan down there.
And he had 7 defensive backs that time.
And one of them got pushed, probably by Ricky Prohl trying to get open. So that'll negate a nice gain.
Number 87 on the offense. Third down.
It was Prohl, Hank.
Right in the middle of the screen, 87. Couldn't really see it very good, could you?
Didn't look like much of an infraction to me.
Sure didn't.
3rd and 11 after the completion to Jones, negated by the penalty. Rosenbaugh will scramble. Ooh, what a collision at the 38. That's the thing about Rosenbaugh. He doesn't slide down feet first very often. He'll stick his nose in there. He'll take the hits. Scott Case and Elbert Shelley on the tackle.
Look at the running room. Makes a good move to the inside. And look at him lower that shoulder pad and go into the pile. He doesn't come out the other end, but he dents it a little bit.
That was Shelley who delivered the primary blow. First down on the scramble by Rosenbaugh. Falcons rush just 3 underneath the Prohl, and 2 more flags go down. That time it looked like on the near sideline Deion Sanders was wrestling with Ernie Jones. As we await the call from Tom Dooley. Flag is down at the 27-yard line of Atlanta. So they'll try to sort it out.
That time they only had a 3-man rush, which is a good philosophy. Pushing again offense.
So for the 2nd time in a row, they're guilty of that infraction. Andre Bruce, you see in there, number 93. He supplied some heat on that last pass rush. Come on, Tom, give it to us here.
We got offensive pass interference. Number 89, and that penalty is declined. We got illegal use of the hand. Number 86 offense. First down.
Both Reeves and Jones guilty of infractions. They'll mark off the one against Jones. So the Cardinals going in the wrong direction here in the closing moments of the first half. And trailing by 3, 10-7. 1 timeout remaining for the Cardinals. Rosenbaugh throwing and underthrowing Prohl on the far sideline. Again, they work in the area of Bobby Butler, number 23.
That's the great thing about a professional football team. You know, they find a weakness. They're not just going to go over there a couple of times and say, well, we did that and they're probably going to stop it. They're going to keep throwing and keep running until they do stop it. They haven't done it yet, but they've got a very good approach, and they consistently are throwing on Bobby Butler, number 23.
He's seen a lot of leather in the first half as he starts for Charles Dimry today. 2nd and 20 from the 44 of Atlanta. Rosenbaugh will be chased down from behind by Darian Connor, the 2nd-round draft choice, number 56. He carries to about the 40-yard line, and the Cardinals will use their final timeout of the first half. Just 16 seconds remain, with which the Cardinals hope to do something as they trail by 3, 10-7. lot of effort for these two football teams, not much execution offensively, as you see our 10-7 score. Jerry Glanville on the near sideline says he wants his teams to have an attitude, and they've really had one playing here in Atlanta. They play with a lot more aggression than they do on the road.
And I think really both teams are doing that. This game doesn't surprise me at all. They're very much the same kind of a team. They both exercise the same principles from a defensive standpoint especially. And they're a hard-hitting team. They try hard, play hard, and that's why this game is the kind of a game it is.
Their coaches would hardly let them do less. The old friends battling and matching wits. Rosenbaugh for Kroll. He tries to make a diving reception at the 25-yard line, and it looks like he has. Cardinals will have to hurry up. Clock is winding down to 2. They can't stop it, and they won't get another play off. Well, a flag goes down as there's a tussle as well, but it looked like Rosenbaugh did not get the snap back before the clock expired. And again, we're going to have a huddle amongst the officials at the 37-yard line to sort this out. I think for a moment the Cardinals kind of held back because they didn't know if that was a completion or not. There was a very late signal.
Yeah, it wasn't very conclusive at all.
Falcons are offsides.
Will the clock operator reset the clock for 1 second?
Goodness. That could be a crucial mistake. So the Falcons will get another shot, or rather the Cardinals will get another shot at the Falcons because of that
We
mistake.
have encroachment by the defense.
And look at Glanville out on the field at the 32-yard line arguing with the officials.
And here again, had it been an offensive penalty, why it would have been over. Defensively, however, if the half can't end or the game can't end with a defensive penalty, the offense will get one more shot.
So they'll try apparently to kick a field goal here with Del Greco. As Rosenbaugh heads to the sideline. Del Greco will be looking at a 37-yard attempt or thereabouts. Twice he's hit from 50. So the Cardinals can tie this up on the last play of the first half. It's on its way, and it is good. And that's going to raise the hackles of Jerry Glanville as he searches for the officials while his team heads to the dressing room. Glanville's all the way out at the 15-yard line, and you can see him there pursuing the officials to get a clarification on that call that came with 1 second remaining in the first half and allowed the Cardinals to tie this thing up. And the Falcons were offsides on that field goal attempt.
You know, Jerry's doing a good job here is addressing the problem that he thinks is a problem, but it doesn't lose the emotional part of it on his part. He's very under control, just talking to the official, wants an explanation of what took place on that last play. Now, if you're a lot of guys will get very emotionally involved, yell and scream and holler, wind up touching the official and wind up with more of a penalty.
But the penalty stands, and so is the field goal that it brings, and we've got a 10-10 game at halftime in Atlanta.
We welcome you back to our New York studios, everyone. This is an NFL doubleheader day here on CBS. At 4 o'clock Eastern time, some of you will see the Saints taking on the Rams at Anaheim Stadium. Most of you will see the NFC Central champion Chicago Bears play the Washington Redskins at RFK. Pat Summerall and John Madden are there to set the stage.
RFK Stadium in Washington. And this place will be rocking about an hour from now as the Bears come to town. The Redskins need a victory to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Bears, what about them? They've already clinched the NFC Central. But they need a victory to keep their home field advantage in the playoffs and also that week off once the playoffs start. But people are starting to crowd the Bears a little bit. For an explanation of what crowd means, here's the Bears' Dan Hampton.
I would like to see the passing game and offense maybe show they can beat that 8- and 9-man front. If we can show that we can do that, Make those safeties get off the line. That would be great. But as it is, everybody's just lined up, you know, they turned the kennel loose and lined them all up on the line of scrimmage, and just everybody's beating the hell out of us.
So here's what Dan Hampton's talking about, and I think if the Bears are going to be a championship team, they have to defeat this. See, right here, you have 6 blockers there plus 1 back, so that gives you 7 blockers. Now, the Redskins use a normal 4-3 defense, so that's 7. So if you have 7 and they have 7, you can handle that. When they bring this strong safety up, Alvin Walton, and they put him up here on or near the line of scrimmage, that is daring you to pass, but that gives them 8 against your 7. Now you say, okay, if that's what they're going to do, the Bears will go 2 tight ends. So that gives them an extra blocker. That gives them 8 on their side. Again, the Redskins, boom, they come up with their 8th guy, plus they bring the weak safety up, and this is what Dan Hampton said, 9 on the line of scrimmage. And when you get 8 and 9 on the line of scrimmage, if you're going to be a championship team, you have to pass. You have to get these guys back off, loosen them up, then you can be able to get the run and pass. Greg, if you understand that, that's great. Back to you.
Crystal clear, John. It does sound like all the pressure's on Jim Harbaugh today.
Well, it does, but he learned how to win last week when he led the Bears in that overtime win against the Lions. Also, one thing about Harbaugh, he doesn't turn the ball over. Only 4 interceptions all year. That'll be very important today.
All right, Terry, right now, time to send you back to the stadium and the game you're watching here on CBS.
Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's run down the scoreboard for you now, beginning with the game at Giants Stadium between the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Giants. At halftime, it's the Vikings in the lead by 2, 12-10. And here's the difference in the game right here. Watch Chris Dolman on the outside beat Jumbo Elliott, sacks Phil Simms, his 10th sack of the season, and that's a 2-0 Viking lead. Otis Anderson stopped on a big defensive play by the Vikes here.
Yeah, this is kind of reminiscent of Monday night when the 49ers stopped the 4th down effort of the Giants.
Alfred Anderson with a 1-yard touchdown run extended the Minnesota lead to 12-3 right here. But then back came the Giants, and Anderson in for the touchdown, 1 yard out. 12-10 is our score at halftime, and Bill Parcells continues to coach on the sideline despite the problem with the kidney stones that we told you about in the pregame show. Meanwhile, the 49ers and the Cincinnati Bengals have gotten underway in the 3rd quarter. This is a 7-7 tie. Bengals have just had a touchdown called back due to a penalty. It was Cincinnati getting on the board first thanks to Boomer Esiason.
Right, Boomer has the ability, and I think that matches up well with the 49er defense. That is the scrambling, get outside of containment, pull up, everybody comes to him, he gets the ball behind him for a touchdown.
George Seifert looking on as Tom Rathman went up the middle for a 1-yard touchdown, and as we said, the Bengals have had a touchdown called back. Right now it's a 7-7 tie in the 3rd quarter at Riverfront. At Houston, the Oilers are just rolling over the Browns. They've just scored a touchdown now. It is 44-7 Houston. Pittsburgh in the 3rd quarter leading New England by a score of 10-3. The Steelers have turned the ball over 3 times against the Patriots so far today. Jim Kelly, 2 touchdown passes today as the Bills lead the Colts 21-0 in the 3rd. Halftime in Milwaukee, where the Seahawks are leading the Packers by 17. And halftime in the game you're watching between the Cardinals and the Atlanta Falcons. It's a 10-10 tie. And the NFL today continues on CBS after this word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Toyota's quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Visa, accepted at nearly 7 million places worldwide. It's everywhere you want to be. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when.
Dexter Manley and his Phoenix Cardinals await the beginning of the 2nd half. They're all tied up with the Atlanta Falcons in a 10-10 game, as you can see, on a beautiful afternoon in Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium. The Falcons led 3-0 after the 1st quarter, and then the Cardinals struck with a long one, Hank.
Yeah, they hit a big play against his own defense with Prohl going right down the seam. Scott Case was coming over to make a play, but he didn't get there soon enough, and as a result, he makes the catch and goes into the end zone, changes the scoreboard, and they get 6 points on the play. There you see Scott Case trying to make a play on the throw.
45-yard strike, and that made it 7-3 Cardinals. Falcons came right back downfield, scored a touchdown of their own, and then a late field goal by Al Del Greco on the final play of the first half accounted for the 10-10 game. Of course, everybody around the country interested in the progress of Dexter Manley here in the first half.
Well, he's been able to play in the first half, and it's, you know, everybody I think is expecting too much. You know, to be away for a year and come right into action, working out on your own is really not enough. You have to get the shoulder pads, got to get knocked around, but he's getting a good effort, and it'll be interesting to see what he does in the second half.
They've rolled Scott Campbell away from him oftentimes. He has had some good pursuit, but it's been from the backside.
Well, I think they roll him basically because he's right-handed. Very few of the quarterbacks who are right-handed are going to roll left very often. In this particular case, the matchup is good because he is rolling away from Manley, and that's a very wise move.
You take a look at our halftime stats, and you can see that the Cardinals have been going to the air and quite successfully, while the Falcons, who have been a far more penalized team this year than last, had some crucial ones. One of the biggest, the encroachment on the final play of the first half that allowed the Cardinals to kick a field goal and tie it up at 10-10. Both teams have had some difficulty running the ball and have had to go to the air. And we are just about ready to start the second half here, and it'll be the Cardinals kicking it away. They'll pin the return man, who is Keith Jones, to the near sideline, kicking it away from Deion Sanders. We may have another problem here with the officials. This is just the way we started the first half with a personal foul against the Falcons. This one's going to be offsides on the Cardinals on the kickoff.
Offsides on a kicking team, number 37, free kick.
For Scott Campbell, who'll have his hands on the ball momentarily. 4 out of 11 in the first half for 74 yards. And the touchdown strike of 20 yards to Gary Wilkins. Rosenbaugh 10 out of 20 for 140 yards, and the touchdown of 45 to Prohl.
Well, we're starting this second half just like we ended the first half. Jim with the penalty.
We've had a lot of them here so far.
You know, one thing that's interesting about the rushing part of it, Phoenix has rushed for 60 yards, but 15 of those 60 yards were gained by the quarterback Rosenbaugh. On the other side of the football, Atlanta has rushed only for 46 yards, and 24 of those yards were made by Scott Campbell. So the rushing on the part of both teams with their normal rushing team is really not very efficient, and you don't expect it to be, really, especially against Atlanta because of the way they play defensively.
You see Scott Campbell wearing number 10, the old number of Steve Bartkowski, who played here for so long and so well in the late 70s and early 80s for the Falcons, back in what amounts to their glory years. So Del Greco now from the 30 will kick it away. Deion Sanders from the 14. Hurdling folks upfield, and he's forced out of bounds around the 45. Del Greco, who was hurt last week against the Colts trying to make a tackle, I think was involved in this one. I think he's the person that's down in front of the Cardinal bench. Let's look once more.
Unbelievable run by Deion Sanders, number 21. Again, he's very decisive. He makes the catch. Look at the way he carries that ball up and down and around. Watch the hurdle now. Watch the hurdle. Watch this. Over the top. And I think he came down on that left leg. Maybe hyperextended it or bruised it or something in the process of trying to get over the top of the kicker on the play.
The flamboyant Deion Sanders limps to the sideline, and Del Greco, who hyperextended his elbow trying to make a tackle last week against the Colts, is shaken up as well on the Cardinal bench. So after that return of 35 yards by Sanders, it will be 1st and 10 for the Falcons at their 49. We're involved in a 10-10 tie. The first play from scrimmage in quarter number 3. Risen wide right, Collins left. Campbell looking for it all to Risen, and it's thrown 5 yards out of bounds. the coverage by Cedric Mack.
And to see the look on the part of Scott Campbell, he knew he threw it poorly. He evidently got lost in the sun trying to throw the ball downfield or something.
It is very bright right where he is. The shadows have extended about out to midfield. But he was throwing in a very bright sun. Neither quarterback lighting it up here today. Broussard checks in along with Jones, and it'll be Broussard split out wide to the right on 2nd and 10 from the Falcon 49. Give it to Jones. He's in the Cardinal territory about the 47-yard line.
You know, we've talked about the Atlanta defense. You have to admire the way the Phoenix defense is playing also. They're playing very aggressively and pursuing and gang tackling. Both teams are doing an excellent job defensively.
They started out the season in a 4-3, and then with a week off before the Cowboy game, they switched to a 3-4, a backer defense they call it, and they've been far more successful.
Well, they've got outstanding linebackers with Hill and Harvey and Mack and Jake, so it's makes a lot of sense.
3rd and 6 from the 47. 3 wide receivers to the near side. Campbell will roll left, pitch it forward. That's a completion to Tracy Johnson, and he has the first down. That is a forward pass and a completion to Johnson, who started last week's game, but was hurt somewhat and is getting a chance now here in the second half.
It's a shuttle play. They roll to the left to get the field up to the outside. And look at McDonald come in there for number 46 and make the tackle.
We have an ineligible receiver downfield on the pass. Number 79 on the offense. 3rd down.
Well, it's another mistake for Freilich, who was downfield on the play, and that will negate the first down pickup.
Normally that play is executed a little sooner than that. Normally it's a quick pitch to that back. But in this particular case, they ran it, strung it out pretty well, and I think in the process, why Freilich got downfield.
Freilich was another player who was in Jerry Glanville's doghouse because he didn't participate in the off-season workout. Operation Head Start is what Glanville calls it. So it will be 3rd down. Falcons had their punter out there for a moment, thinking that they had lost the down. Now they have regrouped and have the people on the field that they want. And that's what the confusion is about.
This 3rd down, there must have been a confusion about what down it was.
Yeah, the Falcons had Fullhag out there in their punt cover unit. Boy, the officials have had a rough time. We've had all sorts of conversations and huddles and stoppages in play and sorting things out as we have here.
You know, the amazing thing about it is I don't know how many times we've come into this situation this season where they lost track of the down somehow, some way during the time frame.
I think too
they're making that decision.
I think too they're trying to figure out what the line of scrimmage should be.
I think that's where they are right now. They don't know where it should be.
Well, now they mark off the 5-yard penalty. Before they had it at the original line of scrimmage. Now they mark it off, and now there's probably a problem with the clock. At least the Falcons are gesturing up in that direction. Eventually we're going to get this play underway, I know it.
Now it should be 30-16, I guess.
That's what it is from the 43-yard line of the Falcons. Campbell throwing, intercepted. Cedric Mack bringing it back with room. Going to lateral like he did last week to Turner again. But this time it won't get into the end zone. It doesn't work 2 weeks in a row.
We're talking about that play to him yesterday, the same kind of a play that happened last week. He said, we fool around with that in practice all the time. I just dump it off to somebody else who might be open. And last week it worked pretty beautifully. That time they had an outside blitz on. There you see it. Makes the catch. Intercepts the ball. Now watch this. He's looking to dump the ball off to somebody else. Here he is. The trailer right behind him, Taylor. And Taylor dumps it off to the outside. It almost looked like a forward pass.
It was close. Cardinals say they fool around with that in practice all the time, as you mentioned, Hank. It won the game for them last week.
That's a little recess football. That's what that is.
1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. Cardinals trying to capitalize on the turnover, and we'll give it to Thompson right away. And he might have gotten a couple of tough ones as the safety Brian Jordan is in on the tackle.
Look at all those black jerseys again, about 6 of them there that time on a gang tackle on Thompson.
Cedric Mack should be able to display good hands in the secondary for the Cardinals. He's a former wide receiver.
Well, he was disappointed when they moved him from wide receiver to defensive back. And he looks back at it, kind of wonders whether that shouldn't have been the position that he ought to be playing all along. He liked it.
Jim Hannafin was the head coach of the Cardinals at the time, who converted him. Thompson, 14 carries for just 32 yards. Rolls in motion. Rosenbaugh's going to throw it to him. He's inside the 10 and close to the 5-yard line. Roland Mitchell on the tackle. Here's the play that won it last week for the Cardinals, and note the similarity.
Here you got to do. Here we Cedric Mack again. Now you got to follow the bouncing ball. Now watch this. Picks his way down the field, breaks out in the open, dumps it over the top with a hook shot, and they take it all the way in for the touchdown.
The winning points in a 20-17 victory over the Colts.
And that was Bobby Butler who changed the scoreboard on that one last week.
So it's 1st and goal from the 4. Straight ahead to Thompson inside the 2.
Looked like Connors was offside on the play.
I thought so too.
Number 56. Whether they called it or not, I don't know, but it looked like he was offside.
He was coming from that right outside linebacking position and trying to anticipate the count. But there is no flag, and it'll bring up 2nd and goal from the 2. Bernice Smith, normally an interior lineman, checks in as a tight end at the moment, number 69. He's out there on the right side, ostensibly for blocking purposes. The tailback again, and Thompson finds it sticky going. He's well short. Falcons swarming to that football and stopping Anthony Thompson for very little gain.
You must not like Thompson the way they blocked for him on that last play.
You can see how sticky the Falcons are down around the goal line.
That's why you have to play action. You have to fake and enroll. You got to do something. It's very difficult to stick it right at that defense.
It's going to be 3rd and goal from the 1. Ron Wolfley checks in along with Thompson. Jordan in motion. Thompson into the end zone for the touchdown for Phoenix. He found a crack of daylight. He went up, over, and in.
He got a good push that time on the right side. And he saw the gap. Watch the push in the right side. Tootie Robbins is coming off the ball and gets a good block, inside-out block on the defensive end. Pushes him out of the way, and it creates a cavity for Thompson to run right through there on the play for the touchdown.
The extra point attempt by Del Greco puts the Cardinals in front by 7. We've got 10-11 to play in quarter number 3 as the Cardinals have retaken the lead over the Falcons 17-10. Anthony Thompson with a 1-yard touchdown hurdle, and the Cardinals are on top 17-10. Following the 2nd interception of the season by Cedric Mack and a couple of subsequent laterals, they take it in from 18 yards out in just 5 plays. 3:03 off the clock. And the Cardinals have scored the last 10 points of this game to go ahead 17-10. Greco's kickoff be fielded by Broussard back at the 4. Looking for a block. Broussard is up across his own 25-yard line, and another flag is down around the 28.
would think as long as this rule has been in existence that they would be able to master that block so they don't get penalized on every return, punt return and kickoff return, but it never changes. Every time you run one back, you look, the first thing you do is
illegal
look for the
block in the
flag.
back. Number 52 of the receiving team. First down.
That's Tippins, the linebacker. And we've seen a lot of flags here today. Jerry Glanville, who was the defensive coordinator at Western Kentucky way back in 1967 when Joe Bugle was the offensive coordinator. They shared a log cabin together in the hills of Kentucky.
And Joe said, you know, when he first joined me, I didn't particularly like him that much, but he really grew on me, and I love him.
Campbell with a nice fake will throw to his tight end. This is Wilkins, who has the touchdown on his way. All the way down to the 40-yard line with a flag at the 44. Tim McDonald brings him down.
You know, that's the second time they've run that play, both very successfully.
Some of the yardage will be negated by penalty against the Falcons.
Number 30 offense. First down.
Mike Rozier was holding downfield. They will still have the first down, but they'll lose 10 yards on the reception and run by Wilkins.
Watch, he fakes to his right, rolls to his left, and throws the ball to Wilkins. Makes a good move here on Young, who makes him miss the tackle. Bell is in hot pursuit, and another missed tackle. Rozier holding right there, right before the tackle was made, number 30.
Wilkins, who had only had 8 receptions coming into this game, has a 20-yard touchdown catch, and that long gainer of 33. Broussard trying to run the end. Fights his way up to the 49-yard line. Let's go to New York and Greg Gumbel with the NFL Today for this update.
All right, Jim, at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, the 49ers with their second rushing touchdown of the afternoon. Harry Sidney from 3 yards out with the point after. It's 14-10. They've gone to the fourth quarter at Riverfront, Jim.
As the 49ers have to get back up after that emotional win against the Giants on Monday night. Broussard with a carry of 5 yards running right end. It'll be 2nd and 5 from the 49 of the Falcons. Broussard goes in motion. Pitch it to Jones. He's barely into Cardinal territory after a pickup of about 3. We're in Atlanta at Fulton County Stadium, where the Falcons find themselves trailing 17-10. And as both coaches said yesterday, Hank, they expected this one to go right down to the final gun.
That's exactly the kind of a game we anticipated it to be, as we mentioned earlier. It's a knockdown, drag-out affair, and kind of a taffy pull. But we'll find out about 2 minutes after 4 who wins this one.
It's the only thing that matters. 4 o'clock. Campbell pressured, hits his tight end Wilkins again, but he's covered after a short gain by Lonnie Young.
That time they ran the same play, but you see what happens. They got pressure that time. The contained man was blitzing on the play, made him throw over the top man-for-man coverage, and they reacted very well to the play.
Let's take another look at this one.
Here's Wilkins in the bottom of the play. You see, he looks like he's going to block down. Then he breaks out into the flat area. Scott Campbell had to throw the ball over the top of the blitzing linebacker, and Lonnie Young, 43, came in there man-for-man coverage and made the tackle.
That was Anthony Bell who was coming in unencumbered. It's 4th and 1. The fans here would like to see the Falcons go for it, but Fulhag will punt it away with Sikahema at the 10. High and short. Sikahema won't try to field this one, and the Falcons will cover it inside the 5. Albert Shelley covers the football, and the Cardinals will have bad field position when we return. Jerry Glanville once said, "My coaching career is marred by 2 regrets. The first is that I never met George Halas or Vince Lombardi. My other regret is that I have met so many of the guys who are coaching now." But he's facing one of his very best friends in life, as well as coaching, in Joe Bugle across the way.
Yeah, I said he used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and get home at 10 at night.
The footing is very soft down here, and it might be a factor. Look at the Falcons come up to the line of scrimmage and go after Rosenbaugh. Rosenbaugh nearly chased out of the end zone by that Falcon blitz.
And there again, only the referee can make a call on that judgment call with regard to intentional grounding the ball. There wasn't anybody around where he threw the ball, but they didn't call it as such.
You saw a few of those non-calls Monday night, didn't you, in the game between the Giants and the 49ers?
Right. It was a very sticky game.
Of course, you intentionally ground the ball from your own end zone, it's a safety. Falcons with 10 men up at the line of scrimmage on 2nd and 10 from the Cardinal 4. Thompson up to about the 7. Don't forget, next Saturday, right here on CBS, we've got college football for you of the Division I AA variety. Nevada against a perennial power, Georgia Southern, down in Statesboro, where those Eagles of Georgia Southern play so well. They've won 14 straight playoff games down there in Paulson Stadium. So it's 3rd and 7 from the 7 for the Cardinals and Tim Rosenbaugh. Quarterback draw. Up to the 15-yard line, one of his favorite plays, Hank.
Yeah, he loves that play. It's especially good going in for the touchdown. We talked about that play yesterday, and he lit up like a Christmas tree, talking about how much he likes to run the draw play. And we talked about, look at this, great block inside by Smith, number 61. And he creates a big hole there for him, and he picks his way very well and makes nice yardage on the play.
Rosenbaugh was averaging 6.1 yards per carry coming into this. That's right about where he is today. 4 carries, 23 yards. First down, Cardinals. 5:33 to play third quarter. They lead at 17-10. Thompson chased by Green. Tackled at the 20. Let's go back to New York. Greg Gumbel with this NFL update. Greg?
Well, Jim, at Riverfront early in the fourth quarter, Ickey Woods from a yard out, and the Bengals bounce back to regain the lead against the 49ers. It's now 17-14 Bengals. Back to Jim and Hank.
Ickey getting a chance to shuffle for one of the few times this season. You see our story here as the third quarter winds down. Cardinals began this drive way back at their 4. They punched it out to the 20. 2nd down. Thompson spinning and up close to the 19. That'll be about 2 yards short.
Green, Timmy Green, number 99, gets good. He normally all afternoon watched 99. He gets good penetration. He's very good quickness. The play goes on the other side, however, but look at him try, look at him hustle, and look at him come back and chase from the backside to help on the gang tackling process. Very good. A very good player, and it's a great story about how he came into the league as a linebacker and had a lot of problems from an injury standpoint. Now he's back home where he belongs, and he's playing very, very well.
He said yesterday, my break was Jerry Glanville coming here. He believes in me. 3rd and 1. They'll run it with Thompson, and he gets that tough yard and more up to the 29-yard line where it's a Cardinal first down.
I tell you, the Cardinals, when they had to make some yardage, they've gotten a good push. Got a good push on that last play and made the necessary yardage for the first down.
You look at their offensive line, and it's a huge one, Hank.
Yeah, not only that, it's big.
They've got Tootie Robbins at 322 up there. Lance Smith at 285. Derek Kennard, who's been shaken up briefly in the first half, 319. And Louis Sharp, 290. And first down, Rosenbaugh will throw. Instead, he will run. He will have the first down, and he'll run to the sideline out of bounds.
I'm just amazed at how much poise he has in that pocket. He waits, and then all of a sudden people rush right by him. He sees a lot of space. He takes advantage of it. Very definitive, very decisive. A great run there by Rosenbaugh on that last play.
16-yard pickup. He trails only Randall Cunningham in the NFL.
And he doesn't run scared. He runs very aggressively. He attacks people when they're about to make the tackle.
And he's got a first down for his team up at the 45-yard line of the Cardinals. 2:56 to play, third quarter. They lead 17-10. Comeback route might be picked off by Butler. And they're going to try the same thing to Sanders. To the 25-20. Sanders could score, but it's going to be brought back according to the official. Sanders took it into the end zone, but they're going to bring it back.
You talk about lightning, you give him a little room, he's gone. Jerry Glanville stunned by the decision and the penalty on the play.
Boy, the Falcons have been killed by penalties here today. The interception will stand, but the return yardage will not. Dion once told us, he said, I love that football.
We have an intercepted pass, down by defensive contact, first down, TV timeout.
Well, they've been working on Bobby Butler all day, but this time he comes through with the interception.
We see Rosenball rolling out to his right this time. Look at this. He's being attacked here by the linebacker coming up quickly, throws the ball, and look at Butler, 53, anticipates the play, makes the play, intercepts it. Now he's looking for somebody to lateral the ball to. And they have possession, 1st and 10.
Rosenball hadn't been making the big mistake. That's the first interception of the Cardinal quarterback in his last 96 passes. Falcons trying to capitalize and looking long, and it is broken up for Rison by Mack around the 10-yard line.
Rison was really upset. He really wanted that one. Had a blitz that time again, man-for-man coverage, and he gets it down the field. Here we see it, a nice defensive play on the outside by Cedric Mack, number 47.
Cornerback's nightmare when you've got Andre Rison one-on-one deep. Mack did a great job of tipping that ball away. Had an interception earlier in the third quarter that gave the Cardinals their go-ahead touchdown in this 17-10 game. 2nd and 10. Campbell throws it low on the far sideline, but it's scooped up by Sean Collins into Cardinal territory around the 47-yard line. Tim McDonald on the coverage and the tackle. You can see we're about into the final 2 minutes of the third quarter. Only score of this quarter, Cardinal touchdown on a 1-yard Anthony Thompson run after a Mack interception. 17-10, Phoenix in the lead. Looking for their 3rd win in a row. Falcons trying to avert their 6th straight defeat. Broussard stands alongside with quarterback Campbell in the shotgun. Campbell's going to run it. He will be very close to the chains.
Well, he was trying to run that shuttle play again to Broussard, but they played it very well, and he very wisely didn't take a chance of having a bad play or a fumble on the play, and he kept it himself and ran out of bounds.
Tim McDonald forced him out of bounds. You see Joe Bugle looking on at what could be a very crucial spotting of the ball here.
This game is presented by the authority of the National Football League, and this CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Atlanta Falcons, and the National Football League is prohibited.
Well, they're going to bring the chains in from across the field, and this will be a crucial measurement for the Falcons. And you might just see them go for it if they're short here.
Well, I think they'd have to go for it with that just short, that distance. If it's less than a yard, in this case it is, why in normal cases with field position like it is, I think he'll go for it.
It's about 4 inches, it would appear. Falcons punted earlier in this quarter in about the same circumstance. Look at the job Scott Campbell's doing on the ground.
Yeah, we mentioned that at halftime. Remember, he was 24 in the first half. Now he's up to 26.
You talk about coaches who are involved. Jerry Glanville is one. He takes care of both the offense and the defense, doesn't he?
Well, not only that, he does the specialty teams too. He calls everything.
He's got a call to make here, and a crucial one it'll be.
And he puts it in a good way, though. He said, I suggest things to my quarterback, and he has the option to change it if he thinks something is better.
And if it works, it was his call. 4th and inches. Missed exchange. Cardinal football. Rod Sadler comes away with that fumble.
Boy, that's unbelievable. They didn't get more of a push. It looked like the defense got a better push than the offense, and as a result of penetration, they never got the exchange.
And disgust written all over Scott Campbell's face.
He can't believe it. Scott Campbell cannot believe it. Watch this now. He's going back. Look at this. It looked like he was trying to give it to the fullback, and it bumped his arm, and it didn't look like the fullback was supposed to get the ball at all. It might have been Scott Campbell trying to give it to the wrong guy. Look at this play now. Look at Scott Campbell is trying to give the ball to Tracy Johnson. Johnson said, what are you giving it to me for? I don't want it. He doesn't even make an attempt to make the play, and evidently one of two things happened. Tracy Johnson blew the assignment, or Scott Campbell gave it to the wrong guy.
It looked like Johnson thought he was the lead blocker for Rozier.
And normally that's the way they run that play. I'm surprised. I'm sure that probably Scott Campbell tried to give it to the fullback instead of the halfback. And that can happen if you turn your head around quickly enough and see who the ball carriers are.
Well, the youngster who's pressed into service with the injury to Chris Miller makes a crucial mistake on 4th and inches.
All the football he's played, I bet he's never done that before.
Anthony Thompson got the carry earlier on 1st down, and Tim Green smothered him after a 1-yard gain. 2nd and a long 8, they'll call it, at the 47-yard line of the Birds. The Cardinals in this case. Flag is down. Rosenbach flips it out to Reeves. We've had some wild schoolyard action out here today. Laterals and little shovel passes flying all over the place. Looked like the Falcons may have jumped.
We got offsides defense. The penalty is declined. It's 1st down.
So that'll be a completion to Reeves on the shovel pass.
It's amazing that they bounced that ball around so many times this afternoon, and there hadn't been any fumbles or interceptions in the process with all that traffic going on.
Roy Green is split out wide to the left. Jones is in a slot left. Ricky Prohl wide right on 1st and 10 from the Falcon 44. Rosenbach is hit and dropped by Rick Bryan. And with that play, we will end our 3rd quarter. That's the end of quarter number 3 with our score. The Cardinals 17 and the Falcons 10. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station as you're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, the Cardinals have beaten the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts in their last 2 outings. They'd like to make the Falcons their 3rd scalp. They're still hopeful of finishing with a 500 record, are the Cardinals, who are 4-8 with 4 games remaining.
Well, they said, you know, we should have beaten the Giants, and we're going to play them again. We get another shot, we can beat them. I think Philadelphia was another team they felt they should have beaten. And so they feel very optimistic about the remaining teams on their schedule.
Yeah, they'd lost to Philadelphia. In fact, they'd beaten Philadelphia back in the 2nd game of the season by 2. They've got Atlanta today, Dallas on the road next week, and then home to take on the Giants and the Eagles.
And Minnesota's score doesn't surprise me. They're a hot team. And look out for Minnesota.
Look at the Cleveland Browns. What a year it has been for them. What did Jim Schaffner say a couple of weeks ago? I don't think we'll lose another game this season.
Now he's saying, where's the gas pipe?
Just a second here. I'm checking my Stramese to English dictionary, thumbing through it. Taking the gas pipe.
After losing like he has, he's ready for something.
Yeah, I don't think he's done anything so far that's going to encourage Art Modell to keep him around as anything but an interim head coach.
Well, that's typical of what happens when you make a coaching change at that late stage of the season. Doesn't work very well.
2nd and 21 as the 4th quarter begins. Rosenbach floats it out, and Green makes a leaping reception at the 39-yard line of the Falcons. The 12-year veteran coming through with a big catch. And don't forget, still to follow, the Bears and the Redskins. A game with playoff implications for both. The Bears trying to get a first-round bye, and the Redskins trying to solidify their hopes for a wild card berth.
And everybody's trying to figure out whether the Bears are really for real. We should find out a lot more about their team this afternoon against Washington.
It'll be 3rd and 5 at the 39-yard line of the Falcons. That pass is incomplete for Kroll, thrown into a couple of defenders. Shelley was there along with Bobby Butler.
It was a total blitz that time, and the quarterback Rosenbach read it well, got rid of the ball quickly. Didn't take the sack.
So the Cardinals can't capitalize on the turnover. The 4th and inches fumble by Scott Campbell, and Rich Camarillo will be trying to get this one down inside the 20. Falcons were coming. Dion will let it hit. Turner, did he cover it in time? No. It'll come back out to the 20. After a 39-yard punt with no return, we'll take the timeout. 14-11 to play, quarter number 4, and the Cardinals lead it by 7.
This game summary is sponsored by Levi's 505, 506, and 540 jeans.
A couple of teams trying to learn how to win. Locked in a 17-10 game. The Falcons have really hurt themselves with penalties today. Dexter Manley, playing in his first game in over a year, has brought some pressure in the first half, but no sacks, and hasn't been in there much in the second half, Hank. So it will be 1st and 10 for the Falcons from their 20. Broussard in motion. Campbell. He's got his receiver. That's Michael Haynes. One of his infrequent catches on the day is good for 28 yards.
And that was a good throw. Again, he moved the pocket to the right side. Didn't go out there very wide. Stopped, anchored, and threw back against the grain. And hit him back there for a nice game. Talking about Michael Haynes, number 81.
There was so much optimism with this franchise with the arrival of Jerry Glanville. They went 4-0 in preseason, opened with a big victory against the Oilers, but they've fallen on hard times recently with 5 straight losses, many of them in the last seconds. Rozier running on 1st down. His best run of the day. Carries down to about the 39-yard line of the Cardinals. Tim McDonald forces him out.
The nice thing about this run, you have to be encouraged if I were Glanville in the way he gets to the outside. He looks like he's got good quickness, good speed, gets around the corner in good shape. And Tracy Johnson, number 43, really threw a good block on the defensive end to enable him to jump to the outside like he did.
So it's a 1st down at the 39-yard line of the Cardinals.
We got to throw the ball right here and try to get some kind of a play down the field.
Trailed by 7, Rozier again. Rozier carries would-be tacklers with him inside the 25.
Nice looking play, kind of a counter play, and he runs it, starts over the left guard, right up the center, and breaks it off to the right side. Watch this. Watch, he starts to his left, and then he breaks it off on the right side. Hinton, number 71, gets a piece of a block, but he does a good job of running the ball downfield. Haynes downfield should have done a better job of blocking for him. You might have made more yardage on the play, number 81.
15-yard gain. Rozier gained 115 yards last week in 23 carries against the Bucks. But he'd been held in check until these last 2. Good fake by Campbell. Michael Haynes is split out wide to the right, rising wide left. 2nd and 1 from the 15. Rozier has the first down. Mike Rozier is a tough guy. He's the leader that Glanville was searching for this young offense.
And I said, what about leadership responsibilities? He says, I don't want to be a leader only by example. I just want to work hard, play hard, and if other people see what I do after being in the league like I have, then that's the kind of leadership I want to project.
He broke a rib on the first series against the Steelers earlier this year, played the rest of the game and gained 57 yards with a broken rib.
Look at all the room he's got on the right side with that receiver on the right side.
They give it to Rozier again. And look at him continue to battle. We've got 10:38 and the clock is running in the 4th quarter. Falcons with an impressive drive. If it eventuates in a touchdown, that along with an extra point would give us a tie game. Boy, the Falcons have been in a lot of these. In their last 3 losses, all 3 of their opponents have scored in the last 2 minutes to win. And this one's shaping up like it could be just like it, coming down to the final moments. 2nd and 4 from the 6. Campbell throwing incomplete. That time they didn't bite on the play action.
Well, that time they were blitzing again. That's why they didn't bite. Normally when you're blitzing, why you're just reacting and going to the quarterback. They caught him in the right defense against the right play. That was the same kind of a counter play they've run successfully on 2 other occasions. That time another blitz. That's the last 2 times they've run that play. They got a blitz and forced Campbell to throw the ball before he really wanted to.
Ken Harvey was in on him quickly.
Campbell is saying, hurry up, send the play in. Come on, let's go.
Falcons are 2 of 8 on 3rd down. This is 3rd and 4 from the 6. Cardinals bring 7 defensive backs into the game. Broussard, nothing doing. Tim McDonald, there's not a better tackler in the league from that strong safety position.
Well, that time, you run that play only if you have one guy outside of the offensive tackle. That time they had an extra guy, McDonald. He's right out there to make the play. Watch here now. They run the option. There it is. And look at that. Nobody's on him. Nobody blocks him. McDonald is right there making the tackle. He's got the back man for man and makes the tackle just like he should.
Pretty conservative call on 3rd and 4. And so the Falcons will have to settle for the field goal attempt of Greg Davis. This will be a 24-yarder.
He's made his last 14 field goals attempts inside the 40.
This one is perfect. And the Falcons cut into the Cardinal lead. 9:30 to play in the 4th quarter, and it's now the Cardinals 17 and the Falcons 13.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by AT&T, the right choice. Norelco lift and cut shavers for a new level of closeness and comfort. And by Stanley. Since 1843, Stanley has been helping people do things right.
Falcons go on their best drive of the day. 72 yards and 8 plays before it bogs down. Took 4:41 off the clock, and Davis had to hit a 24-yard field goal. The Cardinals lead 17-13. First 3 points, first points of any kind in the 2nd half for the Falcons. Davis's kickoff is taken by Centers. Forced out of bounds beyond his own 30 is Larry Centers, the rookie out of Stephen F. Austin. Keith Jones on the tackle. Well, the Giants coming back against those Vikings who led early.
Look at this, 17-14, Cincinnati over the 49ers.
It's the house of pain still for the Browns. Indianapolis apparently going down to defeat again after the Cardinals beat them last week.
I tell you, he's done a great job, Seattle, where they came off early in the season and where they've come back since then. They've done a terrific job. Chuck Knox.
1st and 10 from the 30. Rosenbach off the play fake, has all sorts of time and hits Jones. Ernie Jones is bumped out of bounds by Bobby Butler. Falcons have 2 picks upcoming in the first round of the 1991 draft. I'll be surprised if they don't use one of those for a defensive back.
Yeah, I'll go way out in the limb and say that's probably right.
In fact, Maurice Spencer, Hank, an old player of yours who's working up here in the booth, former Saint cornerback, he says he'd like to come back here and play for these Falcons.
And he looks terrific, and I guarantee he could come back and still play. He was one of the outstanding defensive backs in the National Football League when he played for us in New Orleans, and he looks terrific. He can still play. That's a 34-yard pickup. Third catch for Jones for 71 yards. This is Prohl to the 19. Well, it's amazing he kept control of that ball that time. Jordan really gave him a shot, number 40. I thought the ball was going to bounce out of there, but he kept possession of it. Great play by number 87, Prohl. 16-yard pickup. Watch, we'll see it again. This is the way the defense looks at it. Look, and he throws the ball right in that seam. Now watch how hard he gets. Boy, he gets a double dip from the back and the front and all over the place, but he maintains possession of the ball. Prohl caught a 45-yard strike in the second quarter for the Cardinals' first score of the day. 1st and 10 from the 20. Here's another blitz. And Connor has him for the second sack of the day for the Falcons. They really timed that blitz perfectly. That's very important for the quarterback to make sure that they keep track on the sideline what the cadence is, because that time they anticipated the cadence and got a good jump and got the penetration that kept Rosenball from trying to make any kind of a play at all. The loss is back to the 27-yard line. As the second-round draft choice, Darian Connor picks up his second sack of the season. I tell you who's doing a good job on that offensive line. Tootie Robbins, number 63, has really been outstanding in this game. 2nd and 17. Flagler. And a former first-round draft choice of the San Francisco 49ers, down close to the 23-yard line. He's a guy who's really bounced around, Hank, after some outstanding collegiate credentials. Yeah, and here again, he's never really had an opportunity to express that talent and skill. He never plays long enough. You can't be a running back and expect to show anything if you carry the ball 2, 3, 4 times a game. We've talked about this many, many times, but all the great backs have said the same thing. They have to carry the ball 12 to 15 times to get the rhythm and get the flow of the game, and then they get better and better. If you run it 5 times, no way that can happen. 3rd and 14 from the 24. Rosenball heads to the sideline after a short gain and throws the ball at Scott Case, who's restrained by his teammates. Case is a very fiery competitor, and so is Rosenball. And there again, that was an outside blitz. He was able to escape on the outside. Finally was run out of bounds. Interesting thing about Prohl receiving, he's caught 43 catches, made 43 catches this year, and it leads all the NFL rookie receivers. He's caught 6 balls today for 102 yards. First time he's gone over 100 yards in a game. This will be a 40-yard field goal attempt by Del Greco. And he hooks it wide left. And so the Cardinal lead remains to be just 4 with 6:23 to play. Well, you wouldn't buy a used car from this guy, would you? He's so dishonest, he makes the other crooks you've met on 60 Minutes look like angels, and he brags about it. Tonight on 60 Minutes, that's followed by Murder, She Wrote and the CBS Sunday movie Donor, starring Melissa Gilbert Brinkman and Jack Scalia. That's all tonight on CBS. Those stories yet to come. This is the story that continues to unfold here in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium as a nervous Joe Bugel looks on. Big possession here for the Falcons. Campbell's going to throw on first down and hit Michael Haynes
for a gain up to about the 33, and that'll be a first down for the Falcons.
One-on-one with Taylor, the right cornerback, number 27, covering man for man. Starting to backpedal, lost his cushion. They throw the ball right out in front, and he makes the reception.
Scott Campbell told us over the weekend that you've got to resist the urge to try to win the game in one play. It's a long game, and it's going to go 60 minutes. I've got to be patient. He's trying to move his ball club downfield patiently here. 1st and 10 from his 35. Again, he works with the short pass. And this time it's caught by George Thomas. His first of the day, I believe, with Lorenzo Lynch bumping him out.
That time they had 6 defensive backs. Lynch was playing on the outside.
Was the first catch of the day for George Thomas out of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. 8-yard pickup. It'll be 2nd and 2 at the 43 of the Falcons. They trail by 4. Look out, look out. That's picked off. And all the way into the end zone, that is Marcus Turner. A 47-yard return of that Scott Campbell interception, and that might be the backbreaker for the Falcons.
There's a 3-deep zone. Looking out in the right side here. He really held the ball a little longer than he should have, and he looked right in that direction. Turner read it all the way, got a great jump, terrific anticipation, caught the ball like it was being thrown to him, and he takes it right on back for the touchdown. Boy, that's a big play for the Cardinals.
Well, Turner looking to be the hero 2 weeks in a row after returning that lateral off the Mack interception to beat the Colts. Now he may have provided the kill shot on the Falcons in this one. Del Greco's extra point makes it 24-13 with 4:51 to play, and a lot of the good folks from Atlanta go out to get on I-75 and head home. Jerry Glanville's going to huddle his whole team in front of the Falcon bench. But they've got a long way to come back now. 11 points.
I tell you, both of these coaches have done a terrific job of selling their team, but they have to hang in there. They got to play hard. But playing hard is not enough. A mule works hard. You got to play smart, and you got to work hard. He's telling the guys that we got 4 minutes, that it's not over till it's over. And make sure that you guys play like you're supposed to play. Give us a good effort. Be smart. Do what you have to do. But we got a chance to win this game, and that's the way we're going to play these last 4 minutes. That's what he had to tell that team.
Roy Green and Joe Bugle sharing a happy moment. Bugle's really a player's coach, isn't he?
Yeah, he has. He has been. He's in the trenches with his people, and most of the time when you get a head coach who has been a line coach especially, they usually have that kind of a rapport with their team and that kind of a personality.
So the Falcons facing a big uphill struggle here as Del Greco kicks it away, and Dion brings it back from his 16. He won't get beyond his own 27.
Look at the way that team is walking off the field now. They're kind of dejected, and understandably so. Look at this, San Francisco, Cincinnati in overtime. Buffalo's a hot team. They're playing extremely well. Seattle is coming on strong.
Well, the Falcons are looking at the possibility here, and a very distinct one it is, of losing their 6th straight. And they've been a far better team at home than they have been on the road, but the early season magic for the Falcons in Atlanta has dissipated. 1st and 10 from the 26. Campbell for Rison. Nice juggling reception as he's forced out of bounds around the 39-yard line. Cedric Mack pushes him out. Don't forget, coming up next, a big one from RFK as the Bears visit Washington.
It's only the third pass that Rison has caught. He's antsy. He's anxious. He wants, give it to me. Throw it to me. I'll somehow, some way get it into the end zone. He's caught 3 balls for 64 yards.
He really hasn't been that big a factor in the Falcon offense lately. He's been so banged up, playing with numerous injuries. 1st and 10 from the Falcon 40. Campbell will run. Slide down at his own 45-yard line.
Good pursuit by Sadler, number 72. He felt him coming and very wisely hit the deck.
Our story here in Atlanta is 24-13. The Cardinals on top. The latest score just moments ago, the 47-yard interception return for the touchdown by Marcus Turner. Ball is tipped, and this one will be picked up. Back to the 40, 35, and out of bounds at the 30, Michael Zordich.
You really have to give this defense of the Cardinals an awful lot of credit. They've been very alert here this afternoon, has made some big plays, and really made it very difficult for the Atlanta Falcons to travel as nicely as they thought they would. Watch 38 in the middle of the screen. He's the one that makes the tip. There he is. He makes the interception right there. Reads the quarterback eyes all the way. Looks at him and makes the interception. Another bad mistake by the Atlanta Falcons.
So the Cardinals will have it. 1st and 10. And the carry by Anthony Thompson gets little. The Falcons will call the timeout with 3:55 remaining in the 4th quarter. Well, the official signals that the timeout has been called. Yeah, now he's got it right. He first signaled that the timeout was called by the Cardinals. It was, of course, called by the Falcons.
The turnover ratio, 4 for the Atlanta Falcons, 2 for Phoenix.
So it looks like this personal battle between Jerry Glanville and Joe Bugel, whose friendship dates back to the middle 60s, will be won by Bugel. 2 head coaches in their first year at the helms of their teams.
Well, I tell you, only somebody in coaching or has been in coaching fully understands what a tough selling job these 2 guys have had during the course of the season. They've done a terrific job of making their team play as hard as they played.
Don't forget our Saturday NFL coverage next week begins when you'll be seeing the Washington Redskins travel to New England to take on the Patriots. That will all start on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern with the NFL Today. Rosenbaugh will take a shot at the end zone with Jones. He makes a juggling catch, but out of bounds.
Now, didn't have both feet in bounds and didn't have possession of the ball. Didn't have control. That's what the rule states.
Bobby Butler on the coverage. He'll sleep well tonight, won't he?
He surely will. He surely will. He got a lot of business, but he came up with a good key interception, and that's, you know, he's a very bright guy, and he'll lead you into things thinking you're going to get some things, and all of a sudden he'll come up and make a play just like he did on the interception.
Whistles blowing down on the field below as it's 3rd and 10 from the 30-yard line of the Falcons. Tom Dooley consulting with Tim Rosenbaugh.
Third down.
49ers and the Bengals still tied up in overtime. And look at this. Houston continues to lay it on the Browns. Maybe the only good news for Jerry Glanville today is that he's got Cleveland next week. Flagler. A short gain to the 30. And he's run out of bounds, so the clock will stop with 3:44 to play. Well, if you're Jerry Glanville, Hank, and you're looking at a 6th straight loss, what do you tell your team afterwards?
Well, you know, it sounds like a broken record because you win and lose for the same reasons, and you just have to continue to sell. If you're strong and believe strongly in what you're doing and make the kids see clearly as to what you're doing, and that's exactly what both coaches have been able to do. It's just amazing to talk to both teams with the kind of a season they've had, and they all are very confident and very optimistic about the future of the franchise.
Del Greco will attempt a 48-yarder out of the hole of Tupa. And it is blocked. Deflected and rolling downfield to the 3-yard line. So Del Greco has misfired from 40 wide left in the fourth quarter and has that one deflected from 48 yards.
And there's a great illustration of great hustle and great trying. With a score like it is, they still were able to block a field goal.
And the Falcons have had a lot of success doing that this year. Their special teams have really come through for them. But they've needed more than that here today. As it looks like Joe Bugle and the Cardinals will run their record to 5-8. Well, they will go to Dallas next week and then finish at home against the Giants in Philadelphia. And they did it today without Johnny Johnson, the NFC's third leading rusher. So the Falcons and Campbell will give it another try. That ball appeared to be tipped too, and there's a flag down at the 40-yard line. Michael Haynes was the intended receiver. Stanley Blair was one of the people covering him. But the penalty will go against the Falcons. They've had a few of those calls go against him as well.
Offensive pass interference, number 81, first down.
We've seen that called numerous times today against the Falcons. And
that's about 3 times, I think, Jim.
That's right. Boy, they paid for almost every mistake, didn't they?
They surely did, and of course that's what the game's all about. People try to interject things that are non-existent. It's always the same, the blocking, the tackling, the execution, the fundamental, the basic things that happen that kill you.
That's the 12th penalty of the day against the Falcons. 1st and 20 from the 21. Campbell's going to get crushed. And he does, chased down from behind by Ken Harvey. That'll be a sack and the 3rd of the day for the Cardinals.
Harvey's a very active linebacker, a very good one. He's all over the place.
He is. Those 3 sacks that the Cardinals have are all Harvey's. He had 2 way back early in the first quarter, and now he picks one up in the fourth quarter, so he's still coming hard. And it's been a long day for that young man, Scott Campbell. He battled his way back from an injury that nearly ended his career when he blew out his knee back in preseason of 1988. Last year he was the number 3 quarterback on this team, but he played well last week in relief against the Tampa Bay Bucks. It just didn't happen for him here today.
Yeah, they had a chance to win that game last week and they should have won it, but they didn't. But that's the story of this team. They should have won several other games during the course of the season, but just didn't get it done.
And of course, Chris Miller is probably listening on the radio as this game's blacked out locally after undergoing surgery on his broken clavicle. But he should be ready for next season. 2nd and 21 from the 20. Campbell can't find anybody deep. Works underneath, and being kept in bounds is George Thomas. Ball comes loose, but after the whistle. Campbell, when he blew out that knee in the preseason of '88, went in for an operation on it, along with Kenny Flowers, who was a running back for the Falcons at the time, and they each had tendons transplanted from the same cadaver in their knees to rehabilitate them. Here's Campbell throwing for Risen, and a flag goes down as he is apparently interfered with at the 40. A derisive round of applause by the few Falcon fans remaining as they've seen this call go against the Falcons more often than for them. Jay Taylor on the coverage.
We have defensive pass interference, number 27, first down.
Penalty does go against Taylor. And don't forget, still to come, we've got a lot more football action for you here on CBS. with the Chicago Bears visiting the Washington Redskins. 1st and 10 after the penalty at the 41. Campbell throws over the middle, and that's almost picked off again by Turner. What a day he's had.
I get a kick out of watching Rison. Boy, he's really a great competitor. He loves to catch the ball, loves to do something with it once he does catch it. And I'm sure he's disappointed as can be here this afternoon because he's only caught about 3 balls and hadn't had nearly the attention that he'd like to have. I think going into this game, normally they throw to him about 11 times a game.
Early in the season, all the Atlanta writers were saying, what a steal. We've got Chris Hinton. We've got a number 1. We've got Andre Rison. What a steal. Now Jeff George has come on, and he's kind of drifted to the sidelines as Rison. Now they're saying it was a bad deal to him. And that pass is underthrown and thrown behind the intended receiver, George Thomas, at the 45-yard line of the Cardinals. We're in the waning moments of this game here in Atlanta, and we're looking on as one of the few people still on hand at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. They'd had 5 straight sellouts here before this game, and now with the Falcons going rapidly downhill after a good early start, people here in Georgia and Atlanta find other things to do with their Sunday afternoons. Campbell has this one swatted back in his face nearly as a flag goes down. Freddie Joe Nunn, who was dropping off from his defensive end position into pass coverage, swats it away.
You said it before, you know, Jim, but I think the Phoenix football team, the coaching staff, they have to be proud of where this team has played defensively.
An eligible person downfield on the Falcons. Freddie Joe Nunn has really come back from a substance abuse problem of his own. Once Manley does get into the lineup, it might free him up even more.
Number 69 on the offense. Penalty is declined. It is 4th down.
Houston Hoover, the left guard, was the illegal receiver downfield. There's a look at Dexter Manley, who's getting some playing time here in the final 2:25 of this game.
And this is good. This is good experience for Dexter because he hasn't played for over a year, and just to jump in there, everybody expects that he's going to make a sack on every play. But that's not the case. He's got to get back in the groove and get his moves down.
4th and 10 for the Falcons. Their last gasp. Rison is underthrown at the 46-yard line. And that will do it on Atlanta's chances, it would appear. The ball goes over to the Cardinals. Marcus Turner on the coverage. You can just see the dejection painted all over the faces of the Falcons, among them Andre Rison.
Yeah, they've been selling each other on the fact that they have to work hard and they try hard and all those kind of things, and it just hasn't paid off. They're very, very despondent about what's happened here this afternoon. But again, you have to give a lot of credit to the Phoenix team that came in here expecting and hoping that they could win and take away a victory here this afternoon, and that's exactly what they've been able to do, and it's a great compliment to Joe Bugle and his coaching staff and his football team.
Anthony Thompson, the running back, figures to get the call as the Cardinals run out the waning minutes here. The Falcons will take another timeout with 2:15 to play in the 4th quarter, and they trail by 11 points, 24-13. Well, you know, Jerry Glanville says my philosophy is take chances, throw long, hit hard, and the guys who don't hit hard in the final games of the season will probably find themselves somewhere else next year.
Well, you know, I don't think that's been a problem at all. But here you see Bill Fredick on the sideline and Johnson, and you know, that you can tell that their faces tell the story about the feeling they have about what's happened here this afternoon.
And what did happen here this afternoon were turnovers, penalties, and drop passes. Hard to make that many mistakes and win. But it was really a game until about midway through the 4th quarter. The play of the game was that 47-yard interception returned by Marcus Turner.
Dexter looks like he's very pleased to have been able to get a little dirty out here this afternoon. He'll get better and better and better as the next 3 games progress.
Thompson on 2nd and 6. He'll be hit and dropped by Jesse Tuggle. It's still hammer time. They call him the Hammer, and the free agent will fight you to the very end. Another flag goes down. And the Falcons indicate it will go against the Cardinals, and so does Tom Dooley. Well, the Giants came back, Hank.
Illegal hands to the face, number 70 on the offense. It'll be second down.
And Mike Kofort's 23-yard field goal at 8:48 of OT gives those 49ers yet another last play victory.
You know, when they showed the score 17-17 in overtime, immediately the thought came, San Francisco's going to win it. They'll find a way, and they did.
They do. Who do you think is the best team in football, Hank? You saw the Giants and the 49ers Monday night.
Well, everybody deliberated a great deal about the Giants and the 49ers, and if the system means anything, you have to say the 49ers because they beat the Giants. But there's some other good football teams coming on, and it's not going to be easy from here on in.
Thompson is dropped for the loss by Torrey Epps. As a fight breaks out, Lyles was in on that, Robert Lyles, and I think it was the tight end of the Cardinals, number 89, Walter Reeves. Lyles is another pickup from the Houston Oilers. In fact, he's the guy who coined the House of Pain
offsetting
phrase.
personal foul. It will be third down.
Just a little scuffle. No blood, no foul.
2-minute warning.
And we have reached the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes remain as the Cardinals have it in hand here in Atlanta against the Falcons. Cardinals trying to run their lead in this series to 9-4 over the Falcons and run their record to 5-8. A loss for Atlanta will drop them to 3-10. They won 3 games last year as well, but they're a far better team than they were a year ago. Look at Ricky Kroll. There's a young rookie who's had a big impact on this team.
And he's a good athlete. He said he liked to play baseball when he was a youngster.
Mike Gann gets back on sides. As Thompson gets the call, he's got a lot of room. He's at the 30. Sanders chases him and brings him down at the 12.
That was a counter trey. That's the first time they've run that with any success all year long. I mean, in this game, they pulled the right guard and the right tackle, and he popped through that seam. And here again, I mentioned earlier that he's left-handed. He likes to carry the ball in his left hand. See, now he's running to his left. There he is running to his left. Cutting over. Now, had he had the ball in the right arm, he could have been able to straight arm Sanders and maybe gone all the way in for the touchdown. He was handcuffed with the ball in the left arm.
That's a 40-yard run, by far his longest as a pro. Thompson, 26 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. He went over 100 yards back on November 25th against the Patriots.
And I was impressed with his attitude. We talked about Johnny Johnson. He said he hates to fill in for him under these circumstances because he's been hurt, but he's a great back, and he hopes beyond hope that he winds up being Rookie of the Year in the National Football League. Nice statement from a competitor on the same team.
That was an area of their team that they had to rebuild this year after losing Earl Farrell and Stump Mitchell recently. They thought they got their main man in Thompson and got a huge surprise when Johnny Johnson came through as a 7th-round pick. So the Cardinals running out the clock here on this victory. Rosenbaugh will kneel. The Falcons cannot stop it again, and this one is over in Atlanta. A couple of weary teams head to the middle of the field, and for Jerry Glanville and Joe Bugle, they will meet as well. Old friends renewing acquaintances. Poignant shot, wasn't it? So for Hank Stram, this is Jim Henderson saying so long from Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where our final score is the Cardinals 24, the Falcons 13. Stay tuned next, game 2 of our doubleheader, as you'll see Chicago at Washington. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after these words from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.